welcome back to an actual live Cheltenham Preview Night. Whoa, good start. Yes, this is the Race Hour Cheltenham Festival Preview 2022. This time last year we thought we'd never be at one again, but here you are, and we have an illustrious panel assembled for you. My name is David Jennings from the Racing Post, and I'll bring you from left to right. We've got our two main men on the left-hand side of the panel. We've got Dean Ryan, who is the Race Hour host and top pundit, obviously. We've got a newcomer. We'll come back to him in a minute. We'll give him a bit of confidence. We'll come back to him in a minute. We've got Diarmuid Nolan, our Race Hour creator, and I think we've been doing this for a couple of years, Dermo, and you are probably got the best return on charity bets, so no pressure tonight. Then we've got a very familiar face. We've got Donn McClean, Racing TV pundit, and then we've got Willie Mullins' eyes and ears at the end of the panel. We have got former Grand National-winning jockey David Mullins, who is so much more than that. And I just see on my notes here, Mikey, you're down as Cheltenham Festival winning jockey, Mikey Fogarty. Now, I think you're much more than that. I think you're kind of Tommy Tiernan meets Tommy Tracy, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, a fraud.
I don't know if you're here for comedy or for clever horse racing tips, but we're delighted to have you. We're delighted to have you, so we are. And last but by no means least, we have got Dan Overall from our sponsors, FansBet, who is also a Tipstar finalist on Racing TV, so obviously a shrewd judge if he got to the final. So give Dan a big round of applause.
And make sure to vote for me as well.
Yeah. I was coming to the votes. You can vote for Dan on social media. I presume on Twitter you can vote for you.
TV on their website.
Every vote gladly received. And our thanks to our sponsors, bookmakers.co.uk and FansBet. Just to talk you through what's going to happen tonight, we're going to go through the first 3 days first, and then we're going to take a little break. Then we're going to do day 4, and then we're going to do the 3 mares races and the handicaps, and then we're going to have our all-important charity bets at the end. So without further ado, we're going to kick off with the day 1 opener, the Supreme Novices Hurdle, and what a cracker we have in store here, folks. It is a Supreme for the ages. And at the moment, with FansBet, Constitution Hill is our 2-1 favourite, but we have an enhancement coming up, folks. Sir Gerhard is 9-4, Dysart Dynamo 11-4, 4-1 John Bond, 7-1 Kilcrush, 10-1 Pied Piper, and 11-1 Mighty Potter. It's 12-1 Bar. And Dan, we have an enhancement on the Jolly.
Yep, Constitution Hill, which it seems to be the horse everyone's trying to bash here. Was 2-1, now going to be 3-1. I think a lot are going to be out to get him, and it seems on the preview circuit and on the day, but 3-1. Personally, I think he's got a cracking chance. I think however the race unfolds, this is the horse who's going to handle it. The others, potentially not so much. We've got some front runners in there, very keen goers. He's proven, he's a very slick jumper, travels, handles any ground. I think there's an awful lot to like about him, and I think he's probably getting a bit too much stick.
Okay, so interesting. A good enhancement to start tonight, folks. 3-1 with FansBet. So go into bookmakers.co.uk and you'll see the link and you'll be able to get that 3-1 for Constitution Hill and the Supreme. Mikey, we have to come to you here first because nobody in this room, I would say nobody in this world, knows Dysart Dynamo better than Mikey Fogarty. So take it away and tell us all about Dysart Dynamo, please.
That mightn't mean too much now. There's plenty of horses I know, but it didn't always work out. Lovely horse, gorgeous horse, bumper horse last year, and obviously ran keen in Punchestown but still won. He's in great shape at home, and he's one that will take a lot of beating.
Right, you're Willie Mullins, right? Just play the game for a minute. You're Willie Mullins, and it's 9:59 on Sunday, the 14th of March. Are you going to press declare for the Supreme, or are you going to wait 24 hours later and declare for the Ballymore?
Well, apparently I rolled the market the other night, did I? Is this true?
Not for the first time, Mikey.
Oh, sorry. So
go on, what did you say?
I don't know. I said he was. I actually don't know. But I'm not on Twitter or anything, but I got a couple of messages. So I said Sir Gerhard might be their number 1, but Dysart Dynamo will take it with a beating too. So I genuinely don't know which way it'll go, but I'd ride Dysart Dynamo on, yeah.
You'd ride Dysart Dynamo over Sir Gerhard. And final question on him. Do you think if he did go for the Ballymore Dysart Dynamo, he'd stay the trip?
Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not as worried about the keenness as people think after Punchestown, no.
And what's he like at home? Is he?
He's not like that, no. So
good man on board at home, though.
Sometimes. Depends what way I'm riding.
So is it 1 vote to start tonight for Dysart Dynamo, yeah?
Oh yeah, for me, yeah. He's my €100 charity bet.
That's it, folks. Thanks for coming along to the race hour.
Just in case I need to go to the toilet. And do it.
Mikey's chat up line. Come on, we're going home.
Oh, don't knock it.
David Mullins, without giving away your charity bet for the night, what do you like in the
Ask him
Supreme?
his take home chat up line.
What do you like in the Supreme, David?
I like John Bon, yeah. I think the rest of them are probably big chasers. Dysart Dynamo would be my first pick as well. I think Sir Gerhard could be a big chaser and get further in time. And Constitution Hill the same. I think Dysart Dynamo and John Bon would be the two for me. But I'd ride John Bon. He looks very. He looks like he could be a champion hurdler, and I don't think the rest of them will be.
Okay, interesting. So 1 vote for John Bon and 1 for Dysart Dynamo. Donn McClean, you're after hearing a lot there in the last 90 seconds or so. What do you make of all that?
I'm worried because I like Sir Gerhard. I just thought, like, the Supreme, it goes to a horse who's usually quite experienced and battle hardened, and Sir Gerhard has all of that. He won the bumper last year, the champion bumper, so he's got form at Cheltenham. But look, I mean, I don't know, is he going for the Ballymore or the Supreme? I'm not sure anybody knows. I'm not sure Willie Mullins knows, does he? Maybe he doesn't. No. But wherever he goes, whichever race he runs in, I think he's going to take a lot of beating. Like his 2 runs over hurdles have been very good. The first run he probably jumped better the first day than he did the second day, but he was in front from Flagfall the last day, and he just probably maybe lost concentration. It'll be a better horse in behind horses. And I mean, back to be a bit worried about John Bon in terms of his temperament on the day with the crowds around, especially before the first race. Like, there'll be some atmosphere before the first race with everybody back after a year away. So, and he's a bit of a highly strung horse for Sir Gerhard. I just think there's more solidity about him. He'd be just better built for that kind of to handle the razzmatazz, and he's a very talented horse as well. And I think he'll jump better in behind horses.
Okay, so if you weren't confused coming in, you certainly are now. We have 3 different votes so far, actually 4 different votes so far. Dermo, this Supreme is the one race that the home team think they could get off to a good start in. They've obviously got Constitution Hill and they've got John Bon. Is it going to be 1-0 to the home team, you think, after the Supreme?
I can't have Constitution Hill. I just can't have him. I mean,
why not?
Well, like Nicky Henderson, on this preview night a few years ago, I said that his record in novice hurdle is not great. Now that's been fixed by Shishkin, really. I mean, he's 4 from 58, which means that only his freaks, which is Altior, Bobsworth, Simon Sig, and Shishkin, obviously won. But he's 2 for 10 the last kind of 10 years, obviously, and then he's 9 of his last 18 horses have placed. So that's good. But everything else is very strongly against Constitution Hill. Nicky Henderson has had 5 Talbot winners go for the Supreme. Every one of them beaten. Only 1 horse in the last 10 years have not gone left-handed before going to the Supreme Novices Hurdle. That was Duvan. He was a freak. He was only going to book that. And only 2 horses in the last 12 years, I only went back 12 years on this, but only 2 horses in the last 12 years have only had less than 3 runs that season, so 2 runs. And they are Classical Dream and Duvan. Duvan had 2 runs in France. Classical Dream had 7. So you're looking here at a horse who could be the next. He could be unbelievable, but that's what you're backing at 2-1. You are backing whether this horse is a freak or not, because by the sheer lack of runs that this horse has had and the lack of experience. When you look at 2011, he kind of reminds me a small bit of Spirit Sun, who I think could have been anything. But when Spirit Sun jumps the last in that Supreme Novices Hurdle, it's his lack of experience that doesn't get him home, and Alfaroff comes over the top of him. Spirit Sun should have won that race, but he just didn't have that. He hadn't learned how to come off the bridle yet. Constitution Hill, his form is really problematic as well. He's only beat Trois last time, who was last in a bet for hurdle. Like, all of his form, it's just problematic. He can win, of course.
You don't fancy him then, no?
At 2-1, no.
Hell.
No,
I hate when intelligent stats spoil my pick.
And
go on anyway.
John
Are
Bond.
you finished, no?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Jeez, he's running at Wolverhampton at the minute by the sounds of things.
John Bond's good, but again, I'd be worried the same as Don about him coming over the top. Sir Gerhard, his jumping's an issue for me. Dysart Dynamo, as much as I think he's an absolute beast, he hasn't gone left-handed either ever. I'd be concerned about that.
So no winner of the Supreme, no?
I think Mighty Potter wins it.
Oh, be Jesus, right.
I think Mighty Potter has. I think that form at Christmas can be rubbish, but 3-Stripe Life on an almighty race behind Sir Gerhard. Now I know he was beaten quite comfortably in the end. I think Mighty Potter is a few lengths better than him. I think the mistake 3-Stripe Life made got overcome when you see 2 out. Mighty Potter runs up the arse of the horse in front of him. Mighty Potter for me is the horse that is coming home really well. I think he's going to eat the hill. I think he's going to improve for every run. Gordon Elliott back in September, talking to Brian Shearer, your colleague in the Racing Post, said that this was a supreme horse. They've known this all along. They've given him the exact same path as Abracadabras, who nearly beat Shishkin. Now I know he got lucky that day, but still. And for me, Mighty Potter is the forgotten piece in this horse. He's a Grade 1 winner. And from an each-way point of view, for a horse that's going to fly up the hill, I think Mighty Potter is just an almighty price.
Okay, interesting. So we have 5 different opinions so far and 5 different picks. I suppose you're tipping Kilcroat, are you? Dean, what do you make of the Supreme?
Certainly not tipping Kilcroat. No, I'm all over John Bonn. I think he's the class act in the race. Not that there isn't huge potential in the other runners, there is, but I think John Bonn has it all. Is this touch of majesty about him? You know, I like to talk about horses in terms of chess pieces, PJ, and this is a bishop, I think, or maybe a queen. The horse has everything. He's what rules he won. He's won points. He's won a bumper. He's slammed. Good risk for all the maiden. That Kennelgate Ascot was proper race, I thought. And then he got cribbed for winning at Haydock because people didn't like the way, maybe he didn't win 20 lengths. He didn't need to win 20 lengths. Still was on the bridle coming across the line. It's not that Nicky Henderson hasn't sent a horse that was a bit flighty to Cheltenham before and got the job done. I think they'll get the job done with John Bonn. The only thing crazy about John Bonn actually is the price in my head. Constitution Hill, Dermo's spot on. I think it reminds me of Spirit Sun and Boubardere maybe. You got very good horses beaten in the Supreme, and it's not always about the Supreme for Nicky Henderson. I think John Bonn is a champion hurdler of the future, and he'd be the one to be in the Supreme. Dysart Dynamo that hasn't beaten anything, and whilst there's good words coming from Mikey, that's what you want to hear. But obviously a good horse. I think they'd be better off going for the bigger trip. Would be my view for them. And Constitution Hill, unless it's run at Sandown on heavy ground with a load of handicappers behind, I couldn't back it 2-1 or 3-1 with FansBet. So John Bonn all the way.
You're in trouble already, are you? So just to sum up the Supreme, we have 2 votes for John Bonn, David Mullins and Dean Ryan. Mikey likes Dysart Dynamo, Don likes Sir Gerhard, myself and Dan here somehow like Constitution Hill, and it is Mighty Potter for Diarmuid Nolan. So there you go, that's the Supreme. It's going to be a hell of a race, and I think what sums it up there is that you've got 5 different picks. I think whoever wins it is going to be a proper horse. It is certainly that kind of race. Moving on to the Sporting Life Arkle. And at the moment with FansBet, Edward Stone is your 15-8 favourite, but he's enhanced to 9-4. Blue Lord 3-1, Riviere de Tel 7-2. Now I spoke to Jack Kennedy just a few hours ago, and I can't tell you how sweet he was in Riviere de Tel. He really was. Front page of the Racing Post tomorrow. Buy it. I know it's dear, but still buy it. Hod Uncleurs is 6-1, Saint Sam 7-1, Third Time Lucky 11-1, Cur Sublime 14-1, Magic Days 16-1, and 14-1 Bar. So, Dean Ryan, there's only one place to start here, and that is the rock-solid favourite of the week that has no flaws whatsoever, Edward Stone.
I know Mike, DJ. So.
Oh, well, I won't start with you there. Do you know the only reason I was doing that was because I seen his notes, and he goes, I don't like Edward Stone at all. So that's why I started there. Right, come on, you blew me away in the first race, Diarmuid Nolan, with all your fancy stats. What's going to win the Arkle?
I like Henry de Bromhead's 2. I like Course Sublime and Magic Days. I'm going to leave Course Sublime to Dean when he does get his microphone sorted. But Magic Days for me, she's 16-1. But I don't like Edward Stone as a favourite. I think he's been rock solid in the UK, but those English hurdlers were kicked out of the way last year. I think it's very hard to think that he's beating Third Time Lucky, was kicked out of the way last year. For Pleasure was a distance back in third. Wouldn't have finished third had Blue Lord stood up. Or Ballyadam, whichever one was the fella, I can't remember. But whichever one of them stood up. So for me, the form in the UK is problematic. The Irish front 2 of Blue Lord, Riviere de Tel, you have to respect that. But I think Magic Days will be an awful lot shorter had she beaten Concertista that day in Cork. And she skied the last 3 and just gave away lengths. And Henry de Bromhead's horses weren't finishing over that period at all. If you watch a lot of his horses at Christmas at Limerick, like a prime example for anyone that kind of wants to back this up, it's just go to Cavanaugh's Corner. He's a horse. He just didn't follow finish at all. But Magic Days was the same. Had she beaten Concertista that day, I think she'd be much shorter here for an Arkle. She's 16-1. That run in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle last year was a monstrous effort for how much she pulled. I think horses that pull generally can be a bit better over fences. I think she could just get away from them. Henry's done this with Put the Kettle On, and this Magic Days was a much better hurdler than Put the Kettle On was. So 16-1 or so. I just think Magic Days, I think she's a cracking price.
Beautiful. 16-1 Magic Days for Diarmuid Nolan. Donn McClean, another race where I don't think it's going to be the team of the week. I think it's going to be the opposite. But the British do seem to have a decent chance of getting one on the board here with Edward Stone. And I have a feeling he's the type of horse that you like.
No, the opposite. No.
What are the chances?
I thought you knew me, David.
No, I thought I did as
And
well.
I thought I was on my own on
thought you
Magic
were-
Days.
I
I
thought
was
you were
there with you. I was
predictable.
feeling about Magic Days.
We have 2 votes for Magic Days.
On Edwardson, I just think like he was 150 rated hurdler last year. He was his second. I know he had a go at jumping fences. He unseated and then went back over hurdles. But just his run, he's been impressive and he jumps well. But he's been winning 4-runner races at Warwick, and I just think I think he's a poor favourite. You can see him winning the race, but I think he's a poor favourite and he's too short. Whereas
Just
Blue
for our
Lord,
listeners here, sorry, just for the Race Hour listeners, it was October when Don put Magic Days up for the Arkle, wasn't it? On the Race Hour podcast.
there she is. Watch this all come tumbling down there.
What price, Don? What price?
But 40-1 to us.
Bigger.
Did you get on? Did you get on?
Not much. No. 25 mainly.
25-1.
Yeah, but just on Edward, I just think Edwardson he's the type of favourite you want to take on because he's 8 years old as well. I think Sizing Europe and Moscow Flyer, and he's English. But that said, there's a lot of talk about the English winning the first 3 races and going 3-0 up, and then you can back Ireland at even money. Anyway, so Edwardson, I don't think he's the right favourite for the race. I think Riviere de Tell probably would have beaten Blue Lord the last day at Leopardstown if she jumped the last a wee bit better. And she was getting £9 then. She's only getting £7 now. The wait for age is gone, but she still gets the mare's allowance. And she's a robust horse who's down in Gordon Elliott's. He had a kind of a media day the other day, and he likes her a lot. He thinks she's improved. And there's a reason why 5-year-olds get an allowance, which is on a sliding scale as the year goes on, because they're young and they're improving. So I think she's a big player in the race. And Odin Calera, Saint Sam, the lads probably know more about them, but I think they could both be players. Saint Sam, I wouldn't mind seeing him stepping up and trip maybe for the Turners, although that's turning into a mad race now. But just on Magic Days, just a lot of what Diarmuid said, I fully agree with it. The race she ran in the Mayor's Novices Hurdle last year, it was an unbelievable race, because that Mayor's Novices Hurdle, it's always a race in which the winner comes from the back. They go 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it's the hold-up horses who usually come to the fore. Magic Days ran with the choke out until about the second last, really. And she did remarkably well to keep on as well as she did to finish second behind Tell Me Something Girl, her stable companion who came from the rear. And she was really impressive winning on her debut. Or sorry, not on her debut. She went to Galway on her first run over fences, and she got outstaged. But that was 2.25 miles, 2 miles, 2.5 furlongs on soft ground at Galway, so you can allow her that. She was very good the next day at Cork. And just what Diarmuid said, the race against Concertista, she just didn't really get into rhythm early on. She made a couple of mistakes, and it wasn't her running. And even so, she's only beaten a length and a half or so by Concertista. Jeremy's Flame was second, and she's gone out and enhanced the form since as well. So there's a lot to like about that form. She hasn't run since then, which kind of would be a bit of a concern, but Henry seems to be very, very happy with her. She goes well fresh, and she jumps really well. Her style of racing, that forward-going style, it's way better suited to an Arkle than a Mayor's Novices Hurdle. And yeah, I think 14-1, 16-1, I still think it's too big.
Excellent.
Yeah.
There we go. A ring endorsement for Magic Days. Dan, overall, FansBet prices here. 9-4 Edward Stone, am I right?
Yep, 9-4 Edward Stone.
Good value?
Not really.
Okay.
I think he's been third time lucky. Probably his standout performance. Is he really the standard we need to win an Arkle? I think Riviere de Tell is probably the horse we can set the clock by in this race. And I think Blue Lord got an unduly hard time for beating her. And I think he was probably inconvenienced by coming there, winning a 3-runner race. I think half the fences were doled out. I think it was, under the circumstances, a 3-run race, and he had to prove himself in very different conditions to what he had been doing previously. Now, he wasn't a tip-topper over hurdles. He was beaten by Bollinger and appreciate it. He's not a Fernie Hollow. But without him, I don't think you need to be of that ilk to win this. And Willie's won this race with Duke of Geneva. You don't need to be an absolute standout to win this. And I think this is the kind of race it's setting up in a similar vein. I think he's a very good jumper. I think he'll sit off what is going to be a very strong pace. Magic Days is going to play a part in that. Riviera de Tail, we know she's very headstrong, she'll go forward. God help us if For Pleasure runs here, which they tend to run him. Remember the Supreme, he just bolts off a million miles an hour. St. Sam was very precocious, he goes forward. So we could have a real bust up. And I know being prominent in Arkle normally suits, but I wonder if this time Blue Lord might just pay to sit in and he'll be able to have a very strong pace he can sit off. I think perhaps we're looking at a Willie Mullins trained novice, 3 from 3 over fences, won a Grade 1, and he's 3 to 1. I just think we may be looking at the obvious here and maybe ignoring it.
I can see now why you got to the final of that tip star. That was very impressive, I have to say.
Very good, yeah.
You're like an old pro there up at the table. Dean, Edward Stone. He ticks all the boxes. He looks rock solid. Do you fancy him?
No, I'm dead against it, DJ.
Read out the first few lines there.
Yeah, okay, so look.
What's the first line?
No, do you know, actually, I'm wrong. Do you know what? My notes here say that 8-year-olds in the Arc are a bad thing, right? Moscow Fly, I think, was the only one to do it. But I just peeked to note a little look here. And he's got size in Europe down as an 8. Was he 8 years old?
was
2010.
yeah.
There's 2 of them, DJ. I apologise.
It's okay.
So Moscow Flyer.
I hadn't actually said it yet, so you didn't need to apologise.
Well, Moscow Flyer and Size in Europe have done it, right? Edward Stone wouldn't even be in the same parish, like they're not even comparable. I think he's a terrible favourite. His Cheltenham record is 6.55. They shouldn't even be running in the Arkle. They go somewhere else, do something
He's
else.
a different chaser than he was a hurdler, though.
Yeah, no, I can't have him at all. And the price is everything, right? What is he, 15 to 8 favourite here? Good luck with that if you're going to get involved. I don't think he's the one at all. There are connections in the audience, I think, of Course Sublime, and this is the race that they have to go for. And if they don't mind, I might ask them if there's a nod from the corner. I can't tell.
Well, we'll ask in a minute. Don't worry.
No problem.
Yeah.
I'll make the case. From a hurling perspective, I think he's the best hurler in the field, for sure. If you remember preview nights of many years ago, everyone's saying he's the best workhorse I've ever had down at the yard.
He done who napped him on this
Yeah,
preview.
absolutely. And a lot of people would have been involved in champion hurdle tilts, and before that, I think they went for the Triumph. So they've gone Grade 1, Grade 1.
I backed him in the Triumph.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
sick.
Oh, he had to.
Look, this is the opportunity, right? This is the Arkle that doesn't have a star in it. There is one. It is Course Sublime. This is the day in the sun. This is the race you have to go for. The Grand Annual will be much harder to win, I think. The mark looks okay, and if you go there, he's obviously got a clear chance in that race. But this horse now has done a bit of switcheroo, but we're in a position now where I think Course Sublime can go to the Arkle, comes off the back of a win at Gowran. Rachel will probably ride. I'd be very, very keen at double figures. We just need the connections who are here to give us the nod.
Right, there's a big light shining here, right, that makes my face look a lot fatter than it is. But Chris Jones is in the crowd there somewhere. Chris, how is Course Sublime?
He seems great. He's delighted with them. I think you asked me earlier. We haven't made a decision. I think you're right. He was chinned in a Triumph hurdle. He's a talented horse. He's a high-class horse. I think he's definitely a better chaser than he was a hurdler. He jumps the fence really well. We always felt that. So listen, we won an Arkle before. I'd love to win an Arkle. We've won a Grand Annual before. I'd love to win a Grand Annual.
You're not helping us here, Chris.
We're to win an Arkle, but genuinely we haven't decided. I just want to get another week under our belts, and then when we have to make a decision, we will.
And if it was 51.49, what would that 51 be?
Listen, personally, I'd go for the Arkle all day.
Roll the dice.
But my son is on my right, he'd go for the Grand Annual. So,
The Grand Annual it is, so.
listen, we'll see.
Well, listen, whatever race he goes for, the very, very best of luck.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be cheering you on. Right, boys. Mikey, Hawthorne Colour is the horse we don't really know how good he is because he fell quite early in the Irish Arkle. Willie is St. Salmon here as well, and Blue Lord obviously won the Irish Arkle. Where are we with Willies in this race? Are they all kind of middling, or is there one standout performer, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think. I wouldn't think there's. I wouldn't think there's any real.
You just forgot how to speak there.
No, I was very impressed with Darren. That was serious, and it was great.
His name is
No,
Dan.
I-
We'll take it. Hey, look, there's about 5 of us on this panel with our names
what's
begins
your
with
name?
D's.
Sorry.
It's tough.
Dan.
Close enough.
He's gonna. He'll keep you and Don on your toes.
Oh, yeah.
He will. I whispered that to David, but I wouldn't have any Willies in these, and I was thinking I picked out Course Sublime as well. I love. I like him. I love the Gorn heavy ground, and I just don't think Gordon's mare. She looks big and weak, and I just wondered that she get a couple of hard races, and it's an open Arkle. 2-1 is too short for Edwardstone for me, but yeah, that'd be my one. But I don't think they're not the A team in Willys now.
Okay. Was Fernie Hollow was the bomb, was he?
Yeah, he was.
Appreciated. Sure, he would have had appreciated as well in Fernie Hollow. They were first and second favourites at the start of the year.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for that, Mikey. David, do you like any Willies, or is there something else? Is there any love for Edwardstone at all? Like I think Edwardstone is by far the most likely winner.
Yeah, but it's easy to get carried away with English, the go-go gallop, and they get spread out a lot. In Ireland, the go-go gallop, you've seen it with Riviere de Tell, and you know that looked like a good race. I think in England they can cut up and they can win by 20 lengths, and the distances can be crazy. And you think this has to be an airplane. Generally, when an Irish horse comes over, it just shows that they're not. Blue Lord, I really fancied him against Riviere de Tell. Thought she ran a cracker. I think she's a very good, solid mare. She got £13 off of Fernie Hollow as a 4-year-old at Christmas. Didn't beat him. It was a great run. She got £9 the next day off of Blue Lord. Possibly should have been a close race anyway. I don't think she's going to improve for those two Brewlers, and she's only getting £7 the next day. I can't see it. I think Blue Lord is a bit better than he was in Leopardstown. I really fancied him to beat Riviere de Tell easy. He's a real good jumper, and hopefully he kind of gets a bit of a spin around like Footpad. I think he's a similar sort of horse. I wouldn't be backing him for a champion chase next year or anything, but you know, I think if he drops in and something does go good gallop like Riviere de Tell and a few of the others, I think he'll be there to pick up the pieces.
Okay, interesting. So a lot of love for Cur Sublime. We've Magic Days, Blue Lord, and it sounds like Edwardstone is one of the lays of the week, but I actually fancy him. So there you go. That is the 2022 Sporting Life Arkle. Moving on to the big one on Tuesday. It is the Champion Hurdle, and the star mare herself, Honeysuckle, is currently our 1-2 favourite. Appreciate is 3-1. Tihupu is 8-1. Epitaph 9-1. 12-1 Zanahiyr. 14-1 Adagio. Tommy's Oscar is 20-1, and it is 22-1 Bar. What have you got for us here, Darren? Sorry, I know it's Dan. I know. What have you got for us here, Dan?
Well, we can't really boost Honeysuckle to a price that's going to tempt anyone in the price, but we're going to do the treble, which I think a lot of people would play on the day anyway. So Honeysuckle, Shishkin, and Allaho. All to win was 10-3. We're going to boost it to 9-2.
Okay, nothing wrong with that.
Get some coverage in that race, I think.
Are you a Honeysuckle fan?
How can you not be? Really, I think again she got a few pelters for the last performance for idling in front, but she put that race to bed in 200 yards. It was over. Like, she pulled clear, didn't have to do anything, and given how she's been going, you can't really blame her for just almost treating it with a bit of contempt. I struggle to see how a horse can perform. They're going to have to perform to something in the mid-170s without the allowance to really get to her at her best. Now, will she be at her best? There's not much to say she won't be. This is obviously the plan for her. It's always been the target. I think Tia Hooper against her, I was impressed with him the last time. I think he beat a very fair yardstick in Durasso by 11 lengths. He's developed into a solid mid to low 150s horse this year. He pulled clear in the manner of a decent horse. And last year's juveniles are looking a serious bunch, other than maybe Calixios, who's let it down, and Montmoral. But Saint Sam, Riviere de Tell, Horten Calor, Adagio, it looks like a decent crop. So normally I would be against 5-year-olds, but I was very impressed by the way he pulled clear the last day. I think I'd have him as the one to chase her home, but I can't really oppose Honeysuckle.
Right, boys. What's the jazz with Appreciated? Who knows him best? Has either of you sat on Appreciated at home in the last couple of weeks?
Nope. No.
Right, bad start. Have either of you seen Appreciated working, be it on the Curragh or Cly Sutton in recent weeks? Yeah. Right, Mikey boy, take it away.
Oh yeah, he's going well, yeah.
Anything else? No? No?
No, but sure, he hasn't ran in a year, and he's taken on, as my good mate Lee Chin calls her, Hornysuckle. The greatest mare that I've ever seen, and the greatest racehorse running all week. Nothing will beat her at all. You can put Appreciated and Fernie Hollow. It won't beat her, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that nickname, very, very.
He was the one that came up with it. He backed her the last couple of years, and that's what he calls her. He doesn't have a vast knowledge of horses, but he just always goes, "Oh, that's the mare." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Honeysuckle, you think she's one of the best horses running all week?
Yeah.
Yeah. David.
Yeah, it'd be the same. Appreciated's a very good horse. There's no doubt about it. Absolute airplane, but he has no chance of beating Honeysuckle if she's on fire.
Wow, okay.
Honeysuckle. Sorry.
Don't leave me hanging. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is a Dublin crowd, like.
Don, if you take Honeysuckle out and Appreciated potentially, there is each way value here. Is there anything that tickles your fancy?
Not really. I agree with nearly everything that Dan said. Like, I didn't agree if she got a wee bit of stick for the last day, but just as Dan said, like, she pulverised them. She went clear around the home turn. Like, she went about 6 lengths clear from level in about 25 strides. Like, she's just, and that's the winning of the race. And then she idled a bit and she got tired maybe, and she got in tight to the final flight as she always does. But no, she's unbelievable. Like, she's just incredible. And I think she like, you don't really find out how good a horse is until it's been beaten. She's never been beaten, so we still don't know really how good she is. I know she's 165 and she gets a £7 allowance, but she could be even better than that, you know. It'll be some training performance by Willie Mullins to get Appreciated to win the champion hurdle, to beat her in the champion hurdle. Look, you wouldn't put it past him when he did it with Penhill and the Stairs.
And why does Paul Townend keep saying, I can't wait to take on Honeysuckle
Well,
with
sure.
the big horse, as he calls him? Like,
So
he
why
seems
not,
pretty.
though? Yeah.
He seems pretty convinced that he'll make a real race.
Oh,
of
the
it.
vibes seem to be very positive, don't they?
A lot is how you guys word stuff. Do you know what I mean? And then it's phrased up in big writing. You know, not you, but the people that ask him. Like, Paul Townend doesn't say a whole pile now, really, to the media. So, could you take that?
Patrick said that, though, didn't he?
No, I interviewed him and he said
No,
it.
no, I know.
No,
Paul
I'm
said
not
it.
saying he never said that he could beat Honeysuckle, but he's dying to take her on with a really good horse.
But I read it like that as well. But knowing Paul, I don't think he would have phrased it like that.
Well, I was standing beside him, like.
That's probably because Paddy was right in charge of it.
I see where you're coming from. I do see where you're coming from, but he was like,
He took her on with Benny to do before.
yeah, I
though,
can't
she-
wait to have another go at. Like, he wasn't very defeatist when he was telling me, like. But he obviously understands that Honeysuckle is going to be virtually impossible to beat. But I was just interested in how sweet he was on Appreciated, getting close to her even. Like, he seems to think he's got a right shot, like.
It would be some performance though, as a trainer, like to get a horse back. Like, his last run was an hour and a half before Honeysuckle won the champion hurdle. That's his last run, and he was 1.7 seconds slower or something than her. But he was only a novice.
He'd be full sure he'll have her back. He'll have him back
Oh,
in
yeah.
tip-top nick. There's no doubt about it. But
That'd be the least of me worries now, is really getting her in tip-top shape for the run. Like.
Yeah.
Nah, it's
The
just-
layoff wouldn't worry you at all.
Not
No.
at all. It's just Honeysuckle. Her attitude towards racing, everything she does, I've never seen an animal like it. You can send her on 3 out, you can hang on to her, you can fire at the lash, she'll put down, you can ride her anywhere, settle, fast, slow pace. Bomb-proof.
And she stays
And it's a
2.5
credit to
miles.
Henry. Credit to Henry, Rachel, all that. It's a remarkable racehorse.
Yeah, to do it at the top level and
Yeah.
keep winning, it's so tough. Like.
So tough.
So Don, had you anything for us from an each way
No, just
perspective?
Tiapu again.
Tiapu.
Like, he's an improved. I know 5-year-olds have a bad record, but Esparta then run one as a 5-year-old, and he's an improving horse. Like, he didn't even run at Cheltenham last year. He's won his 3 hurdles. He's beaten Calixios a couple of times. He showed a turn of foot at Goran Park the last day, which I think that was new. I don't think we'd really seen that from him before. He came away from Durasso and Calixios just really impressively on heavy ground. And Robbie Parr said afterwards he hated the ground, that he'd be even better and better ground. So it'll be interesting to see him at Cheltenham. But yeah, I think he could outrun his odds maybe.
There you go. He's 8-1 with FansBet, so maybe an each way alternative to Honeysuckle. But I think we all think Honeysuckle is bomb-proof. Diarmuid Nolan, you will really impress me here now if you can make an argument to get Honeysuckle beaten.
No, we are the Honeysuckle podcast.
Yeah,
We've
founding
been,
members.
Yeah, we've been on about her now since our Mayor's Novice days. But no, I actually kind of like having races like this where you can just kind of go, right, look, there is 28 races, so no, I don't see her beating. Her turn of foot is, when Ruby Walsh on the road to Cheltenham did, there were 2 races side by side. I know he's a novice, but the way Honeysuckle turned around the bend and just went, I just don't see Appreciated living with that. I think he's a brilliant horse. The kind of confidence against Honeysuckle from the kind of, that's been there before, as in Benny to do was they fancied her out of the way to beat Honeysuckle beat her. I know you can question maybe the ride in the day or anything else, but Honeysuckle had the race won again, jumping the last. That's just what she does. She gets away. I think you can rerun that race a few times and Honeysuckle still wins it. It's her kick towards the last that just gets her away from everything. I think Appreciated ran in the Supreme last year for the lack of a Fernie Hollow, and I think he was much better than everything else in the field. I think in time Appreciated goes up and trip. And I just don't see him living with that turn of foot turn in the bend.
And just to add a bit of balance there, Road to Cheltenham is not your only Cheltenham preview show. There's also up at the Ante, just to let you know if you want to watch it. Dean Ryan, Honeysuckle to win. What follows our home?
Yeah, obviously, we're going to be all over Honeysuckle. You can't get involved this year at the prices that she is. Hopefully she just carries on and does what she does. The one I thought, if you're going to bet without, or looking for an each way play, maybe something goes wrong. I guess one day she'll get beat, but it probably won't be this day. Adagio, I thought would be the springer in here. I thought it was a fair price still at an each way price. I thought it ran fine behind Gosh, and I wasn't too disappointed with that. Ran huge in the Greatwood, of course. Ran big in the Triumph. Loves Cheltenham. Going to get up the hill. They'll be having a go. I think they should have a go. And something has to finish second. It'd be amazing if Appreciated can put out to Honeysuckle after that delay. It is Willie Mullins. It is possible. Don't think anything that Appreciated beat the year before would give it any kind of credence. But it's an aeroplane. It's just unfortunately there's a Concorde in front of it. Unfortunately.
Oh, I like what you did there. Very impressive.
That was good.
That's definitely written down there, isn't it?
No.
You're flying now, Dean. Moving on to the National Hunt Chase, which follows the Champion Hurdle on Tuesday. Statler is currently your 5-2 favourite. Runway Fred 11-4. Vanillier, ridden by Derek O'Connor, is 5-1. Farouk Delen 7-1. Fury Road 15-2. 17-2. 3 under True 5. Jungle Boogie 8-1. 10-1. Pat's Fancy, and 14-1 Bar. David Mullins.
Pat's Fancy fan.
It's just a member here. Yeah. This is
What happened there?
Pat's Fancy is right.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
DJ, I know you listen to the podcast every week religiously.
No, I didn't
Yeah.
know what he said. I didn't know what he said. Yeah.
yeah.
Pat's Fancy fan club. We'll come to Pat's Fancy in a moment. David Mullins. I think Statler is the best horse in this race, and I agree stamina is not certain, but I think he's in a different league to these class-wise. Am I right or wrong? You're not filling me with confidence here.
I think Statler. I don't think he's a Grade 1 horse.
Okay.
Lucky it's Grade 2, I suppose. But
Very diplomatic answer.
I think he could win this. There's no doubt about it. I think he's sort of a real Irish national, English national type of a horse. He's just a big, honest, staying chaser. Runway Fred is the same. What he done in the Tri-Town in Navan, though, I was up there that day. I thought it was a bit freakish as well. So I think there could be two very good horses. I've only seen one freakish performance really from Runway Fred over fences, and I'd just be worried about him. But I still would ride Statler.
Okay, happy enough. You finished well there. You finished well for me. So I'm a big Statler fan. Mikey, are you in the Statler club?
No, I wouldn't. It wouldn't work for me. I just think is it 3-6? Could be a little keen. Didn't jump well enough in the ace maybe. Look at if Vanillier comes back to the horse, he'd obviously have a savage chance. Runway Fred is probably solid there for me. So I don't know if the best horse sometimes wins it.
Yeah, that's what I'm actually worried about as well. Sometimes experience and stamina kicks in.
It's hard. Paddy's on the favourite, up in the van, mightn't settle. Like, you know what I mean? You need a real hardened, and he is hardened because he's been going around a while, that Runway Fred, and he's solid. And he made the run in a Tri-Town, and he'd be just the one-eyed riding it.
I've asked Patrick a couple of times, about Statler and what he might ride in the race, and he obviously will probably ride Statler, but he keeps coming back with On the Ropes to me, saying On the Ropes has got experience, running in big field handicaps. Is On the Ropes kind of a big priced outsider here that could go well?
Yeah, for sure. But I suppose the reason Patrick says that is because he's rode a couple of those good horses in it, and they've let him down a little bit. So
carefully selected.
Yeah, and then it's not as bad as the outsider of your own, and in your heart, like certain races suit hardened better rides in the races. So obviously that's his point. But he look at On the Ropes form. The last day wasn't great, but he cantered up in the Munster National. So if he came back to a bit of form, sure he'd be bang there too.
But the most likely winner you think is Runway Fred?
Yeah, if Vanillier worked well for Gavin Cromwell and you all heard about it, I'd be on him though. Do you know, because wasn't.
And did he?
I don't know, but last year, remember, they went away. We all got the word of Vanillier at 16-1, and it was a
Thanks
great.
for telling me.
I didn't get it. Well, it was Conor Mack told me one morning, and but I was delighted. And Gavin Cromwell's a great trainer. Just to
good journalist never reveals their sources, Mikey.
He won't care. And but that was some tip, and Florence Porter as well. So I wouldn't.
Where the fuck is Conor tonight?
The two of them apparently caught seagulls up the straight in Navan anyway. So, and if they do that again, sure, more luck to him. He'll be the one to beat.
Okay, that's Vanillier, who's going to be ridden by Derek O'Connor. Don, it's quite a high quality renewal of this race. Like we've got Grade 1 form there. In other years, we mightn't have had it there. What way do you see it?
Yeah, no, like I agree with Mikey on a lot of what he said. Like, I think Runway Fred is the solid one. Like his form last season as a novice was incredible. He finished second in a T&Cs. He finished second in an Irish National. He was a maiden chaser at the start of the year when he won the Troytown. Like that's just top class handicap form that works well in this type of race. Like he's a second season novice. He's got all the experience. He's a hardened, gritty, tough performer who should love this test. So I think he's the most likely winner. But I look on Vanillier. You're back to horses for courses. Like last year, went into the Albert Bartlett Hurdle as a big outsider. Loved the track. Won with any amount in hand. Now it wasn't a great Albert Bartlett Hurdle, and then this year when he won the Florida Pearl Chase, he jumped really well. He jumped poorly at Leopardstown the last day, but he was better than last time. And then again, if just coming back to Cheltenham, if it sparks him again, I can see him running a big race. But for me, Runway Fred is the most solid.
Is 5-1 value about Vanillier?
It's about right, I'd say. Yeah. It's a bit of a leap. Like you want him to come back, to leave this season's form a fair way behind, or his most recent 2 runs, and step up for going back to Cheltenham, which he could well do. But I think 5-1's about right. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to start the drinking game now, Diarmuid Nolan. The lads up there are doing a shot for every time you mention Pat's Fancy. So take it away. You're a big Pat's Fancy fan, I know.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of his.
Can he win this race, though?
I put him up for this race in September, October. He's probably 10-1. It's probably shortened up now, but I think Tom Seagal put him up, didn't he, as well, or whatever way they kind of price collapsed. But like, he's an Oscar, just like T for 3. If you actually watch his run against Imperial Alcazar, it's very like T for 3. The horse gets to him and he just goes on again. His jumping is amazing. Like, I know he was getting weight from Brave Man's Game, but James Bowen didn't touch him. He was there for the prep run. I actually talked to Rebecca Curtis, and they really were just there for the prep run. James Bowen was under strict orders not to push him around. They were meant to be at Exeter the week before, but he lost his shoe. He was meant to run against Dusart there. So they were worried that it was too close to the race, maybe. But he still jumped. The thing was that obviously he's not in Brave Man's Game, but I genuinely don't think there's many horses in this race that would get that way from Brave Man's Game and beat him. So I don't think that's knocking of him. I think the biggest benefit of this horse is he jumps a fence like any novice. He jumped with Brave Man's Game in that race. Now Brave Man's Game, I think, is one of the best novice jumpers I've ever seen. And Pat's Fancy was able to live with his jumping. And that's a massive asset in this race. We've been here with Statler before, we're carefully selected. We've been with a scratchy jumper at Naas who's come here and maybe not got home. Runway Fred is definitely the solid one, definitely solid. And my fear for Pat's Fancy is quite simple. I'm on him a huge price, so you start to get excited now.
What's the biggest price you've got?
I'm on him at 50-1. Low down. And I'm a huge fan of his. My worry with him is that he could run the race of his life
and finish 7th.
Yeah, he could.
Second. Sorry, that was a joke.
No, of course, but he could literally get to the second last and jump like he will. The image that has horror in my head is he jumps so well. He jumps brilliantly from fence to fence, and he jumps brilliantly. And my fear is that he'll jump 2 out, going really well, and then literally, like Brave Man's Game last year, that just the Irish horses will just go by him.
Well, there's a thing called Betfair. You can
yeah,
get
of course. But I really like him. You should never be scared of another horse. I don't think Statler gets home. His jumping worries me. Runway Fred is really good. His jumping wasn't flawless the last day either. And Vanillier is the one that I'd fear most. But if something happens at the tree, and we've been here before, like Ravenhill has won a National Hunt Chase before. This can just go wrong for horses. He will definitely stay. He's been brilliant all season. And at the prices, yeah, I really, really do like him.
If Pat's Fancy won, how would it compare to your wedding day?
Sean will watch this, so I won't answer that.
Okay, so better. Dean, the National Hunt Chase, come on. Statler, give me a bit of love.
I'm very keen.
Lovely.
Very
That's what
keen
I
on
want to hear.
Statler.
Tell everybody why he's going to win.
Yeah, I was at Ferry House the day. I think he beat Fighter Allen, and it almost looked like he dropped into the race at the second last, just come around the bend, skipped up the hill, which is a little bit of a slope there. It's a pretty tough old place, and it's local course to me. And when I see a horse do that, I always take note, and looked like he didn't even have a race. I wouldn't be that concerned about stamina. I think he proved it as well against Farouk Delaney.
Farouk Delaney, who come out and won a grade 2 next time. Beat Beacon Edge, who was a grade 1 winner.
Absolute grinders, them. So to get past them, and he does it with a touch of class, I think. I'm surprised Patrick, though, is talking about possibly not riding Statler.
No, he'll ride Statler.
Yeah, okay. I think he's one of the better bet of the weeks. Yeah, I'd love Pat's Fancy to win for Diarmuid. He's been talking about him in my ear hole for months and
2
months
years.
and months.
2
Yeah.
years, yeah.
Like, I'd love that to happen.
Yeah, I don't care if my mate's back a winner or not. It's all about
Yeah,
me.
no, there's a bit of a bromance. I kind of hope that it happens for him. I don't think it will. I think Statler is very, very solid. Runway Fred's run that David Mullins was talking about there was a bit freakish, but I think it's like one performance in and amongst some other stuff that I wouldn't be too keen about. Vanilla, just the jumping, we put me off. I couldn't back it. He may well do what Gavin Cromwell does and get him right for the week, and maybe it'll all come together again. But no, I think Statler is solid. DJ?
Okay, so overall, to sum up here, Dan.
Yeah, brilliant.
His name is Dan Overall.
There we go.
Go on.
Whenever you have to explain a joke, it's not a
I
good
know.
one.
Last one I'm going to explain tonight. What do you like?
A note on Pat's fancy first. He is the biggest loser on the FansBet book currently. I
to the
think
fella.
I know why.
The podcast sponsored by FansBet.
And the fan club at the back as well. A big impact on that.
Yep.
I'd say Runway Fred for me. I think the average number of chase starts a winner of this has had since it became a level weights race is 7. It's all about experience. He's got it in abundance. He's got a very high rating. He's achieved that on merit. He's run well in graded races. I know the Troy Town performance is a standout one, but he's run well in graded company. This is pretty much his D-Day. I think off this mark, he's not really going to appeal as very well handicapped for anything else. This is his race. He's going to win as his absolute standout target for the near future. Statler would concern. I thought that Albert Bartlett last year was a very poor race. I thought he had every chance in it. I didn't know really what he did. Did he get outstayed?
Yeah.
What did he do?
I don't know.
And he looked pacey on his chase debut.
Yeah.
And then he looked like a
Well,
real grinder.
after his chase debut, they said he was too fast or had too much pace for a national hunt chase, didn't they?
Yeah, he's outstayed Farouk Delaine though.
Yeah, no, he did.
It's about relaxing him. If you get him relaxed, then he get
No,
home.
like, I
And
think jumping with
I
him is
think
the
he can do that.
concern. I was concerned about
okay.
staying, but the staying the last day was quiet.
I think he's proved the staying issue. I
Yeah.
think it's about, Mikey made the point, I think Patrick will be in the van, have him there, and if you can just get him settled, I think you get home fine.
Before we just leave this, boys, you're both successful jockeys, one more successful than the other. But how important is...
Jeez, that was needless. Absolutely needless.
Are you talking about me and Mikey?
Mikey, I'm actually a big fan of Mikey Fogarty as a jockey. He's far more talented than he lets on. How important are jockeys in this race? Like, it's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, Pat's
Barry
fancy
O'Neill
has
is booked.
Barry O'Neill. Yeah,
Barry O'Neill, Pat's fancy.
So is there 5 kind of that are far better than the rest? Is there much of a gap back then to the rest?
You'd want about £15 more up your sleeve if you weren't in the top 4 of those jockeys. Yeah.
Just for the UK watchers here, Barry O'Neill's as good as...
Yeah. He is
As
indeed.
any of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure, Jamie Codd is
Yeah.
as good as any
Because a lot of
professional.
people don't seem to know him, but he's
Derek and
absolutely... Yeah.
Barry O'Neill. Sure, they're the all-time great amateurs. So, absolutely.
It's the range of abilities, isn't it? Like in the amateur ranks, it's a greater range than in the professional ranks, which is, there's not a whole lot between the top riders and the professional ranks.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no.
I didn't mean that, Mikey. I'm sorry. I
Okay.
didn't mean. I'll buy you a pint at the break. I'm sorry. Honestly, I feel bad
You're
now.
only telling the truth, David.
He won a
Don't worry
grand.
at all.
He won a Grand National, like.
Absolutely.
That is
a
that.
fantastic ride it was.
It was a brilliant ride.
Yeah. And he
that
was out till 3 o'clock that morning. He rang me. I told him go to bed. Yeah. I was suspended.
Only
and
for Mikey.
I was in. I remember.
I'm sure he answered.
I did, yeah. I was up in London with a couple of friends, yeah. And I told you better go to bed, David, because you don't want to be too weak going around there.
that like people who think you're
That's
messing.
a fact.
That story is
That
actually
is
true.
fact.
I met Mouse Morris actually in the celebrations afterwards, and he told me like he gave you a bit of advice. It was like just don't even think about it. Do what you'd normally do on a night out the night before. Is that right? Did he say something like that to you?
Yeah, he didn't put it as nice as that.
Oh.
Yeah, he said he wanted it all out of your system, basically. There's no going too soon, anyway. That's what
Anyway, before the watershed.
We'll be like the 2 Johnnies now. Gone.
The preview, the race hour preview night will be suspended until 2026. Off air.
I haven't even finished day 1 yet.
That is
that's
more.
false as well.
That is more than I thought we'd find out about the day 1 of the Cheltenham Festival and previous Grand Nationals. But those are the races we're featuring in this segment. We're going to come back to the handicaps and the mayor's races later on in the show. Moving on to day 2. And it is the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. It's always, I absolutely love the start of Wednesday. It goes bang with the Ballymore, then on to the Brown Advisory, and then you're on to the Champion Chase. Coral Cup is obviously a class handicap hurdle as well. We're going to be repeating ourselves here a bit, lads, because we don't really know what's happening with Sir Gerhard and Dysart Dynamo, and the 2 boys have obviously said plenty about both. If they are split up, which it's likely that they are. Willie has said last week in his media morning that he's likely to split them up. But if they are split up and one goes here, whether it's Sir Gerhard or Dysart Dynamo, do you think either of them are good enough to win the Ballymore, Mikey?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, obviously, isn't Sir Gerhard's probably a safer bet riding wise.
Yeah.
You know, he's a Grade 1 winner, he's a champion bump winner. So, look at, but he absolutely, if you'd ride, they have both massive chances in each. Yeah.
Who's the strongest stayer?
It's all about what way they race in the race, if you know what I mean. Like,
Sir Gerhard on both of their last runs, isn't it?
Well,
no way you
your
can keep
man's
that
a
up for
Westerner
another
out of an
5
Accord, like, you know what I mean? So, I just, like, they both go on soft ground, but Dysart Dynamo will definitely go on soft to heavy ground as well. Like, he ploughs up the gallop, like, so, you know, it's all about how they deal with the Cheltenham roar and how they travel over there and stuff too. I suppose the one plus Sir Gerhard has, he's been there before, and whereas Dysart Dynamo hasn't been there, so, you know, that could be a little worry maybe.
But I would say at the moment with FansBet, Sir Gerhard is your 5-4 favourite. Dysart Dynamo's 2-1. I'd say when the decision is made, you could have an even money shot or even odds-on shot here. I think that's the way it's going to go. David, what do you think will happen with regards to these two in this race?
There's no point in even trying to guess what Willie Mullins will do. My opinion is kind of the same as Mikey's. Sir Gerhard settles better. I think he's a staying horse for the future. Can't ever see him in a champion hurdle or a Arkle even. I think he's a long distance horse. So for that reason, I'd have to say he'd have to go out in distance.
And do you think Sir Gerhard would win this race if he's in it, yeah?
Yeah.
You're pretty sweet on him.
Yeah, over 2-5, I think he'd beat Dysart Dynamo,
Yeah. And any of the rest of them interested at all? Obviously, Constitution Hill goes for the Supreme.
Journey with me. What he done in Gorn today was, and then won his maiden hurdle at Christmas when Henrys were running. Jeez, they could not get to the line.
And it's worked out brilliantly. Like Manila Pruner was second and Kilcrut was third.
I think he's a proper horse as well. So maybe him with a bit of each way value or something. If Sir Gerhard didn't run, I think he could be a good bet.
Donn McClean, what do you like in the Ballymore?
Well, Sir Gerhard wherever he goes, but I prefer him in the Supreme actually. Like, he's by Jeremy and there's plenty of pace in his pedigree. He's done it over 2 miles at Cheltenham, and yeah, I'd prefer him in the Supreme. But look, if he runs here, he's a massive chance of winning. I totally agree with David on Journey with me though. Like, he wasn't that impressive the last day, but they went no gallop. They walked around to the winning post first time, and then Rachel just allowed him to go on, and it wasn't an ideal race for him. He kind of just had to win ugly, but he did it well. And as you said, the form of his Leopardstown win is working out ridiculously well. So, and funny because after the Leopardstown race, they put him in as favourite for the Ballymore, which I thought was too short, and now I think he's actually gone too big.
Yeah.
I think he's an interesting horse.
Yeah, and obviously he's done nothing wrong. He's unbeaten, so he's certainly a horse that we probably haven't got to the bottom of yet. Diarmuid, we won't know much about this until the final decks, but is there anything apart from the top of the market that could sneak into the equation?
I don't think so. Walking on air looks very good, but again, the experience angle with him is a massive concern. As talented as he has looked, it's just like away from the Supreme. As I said, Nicky Henderson's record in novice hurdles is just not that good, you know, from a win point of view. So whilst he's talented, obviously, concerned with him. Journey with me is one of my, I really fancy him. I loved them at Christmas, loved them in that bumper last year. And last time out, you can just, like, if you're willing to forgive John Bond for what he did at Haydock, it was very similar with what Journey with me had to do the last day. They wanted to find out whether he could take a lead or not. And it was, Henry de Brom had said himself on Racing TV after the race that it was a farce of a pace. And it was. And they just had to take a lead to see if he could. He did. He took it perfectly. And then he went on then because obviously Rachel Blackmore had to. So for me, the form of the run at Christmas, I'd like to have seen a few more runs into him. I like my novice hurdlers to have a bit of experience, but Journey with me, none of them have all that much. So Journey with me for me is just, he's as tough as nails, and I just like what he did at Christmas. I really love that run, and I really like him for this.
Do you think he would beat either Sir Gerhard or Dysart Dynamo?
Yeah, like Dysart Dynamo, what Mikey said about him not pulling at home is very interesting, because that would concern me. He seems a buzzy horse. I think if you're concerned about John Bond with kind of getting over the top, I'd be small but concerned about Dysart Dynamo maybe as well. But And Sir Gerhard's jumping is just a concern for me. As good as they are, I'd be happy to take them on. I think he'll drift a small bit more. I think Journey With Me, I just think that the last performance, when the previous circuit starts getting going properly, I think people really won't like that last run, which I'll understand. But I think he'll drift a bit. I think he's an each way kind of shot to nothing, and I do like him. Yeah.
Okay, that's Journey With Me. Very strong vote for both Diarmuid Nolan and Donn McClean. Dean, Ginto is a horse that we don't know whether he's going to go Albert Bartlett or Ballymore, but the vibes from the stable seem to be that he's going to go Ballymore, and he's a Grade 1 winner, obviously, after winning the Lawlers and Naas. Is he one that's on your radar for this?
No, not good enough, I don't think. I think this is a penalty kick for Sir Gerhard if they decide that's the race they go for. You've got Dice Out Dynamo, Constitution Hill, John Bon all going to go elsewhere from what we can see. I know he's got the decision to make between the two, but Sir Gerhard turns up here, go off odds on, I'd say, and then that's the race they want to win, the race they can win. Makes a lot of sense. I don't think there's a great deal to talk about here if they decide that. If they don't, I think Journey With Me is interesting enough. Certainly the prices now, you could roll the dice, but if Sir Gerhard turns up, he's going to win.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think he's very, very solid. Dan, what price is Sir Gerhard likely to go off if he does go for this race?
Oh, it's got to be shades of odds on.
Really,
sure.
yeah.
I mean, it's such an uninspiring lineup against him. Even Journey With Me, I think the guys have made some good points. I wouldn't be overly harsh on that last run. Say Don went absolutely no pace whatsoever. He did what he had to do under the circumstances. They didn't actually want to go on with him. They wanted to get some experience in behind, but Rachel's hand was pretty much forced because they were just crawling along. I'd say he probably has a better winning chance than the Albert Bartlett, personally. I think something's going to be in here with a bit too much pace for him over this kind of trip. So I think if Sir Gerhard goes here, then I think he'll take some beating. And if he does go here, we are going to boost him and Facile Vega. Both of them to win was 10-3, now 9-2. So if he goes, I think a lot of people will be very interested in that.
There you go. That's your Sir Gerhard for the Ballymore and Facile Vega for the bumper double. 9-2 now with FansBet. So a nice little enhanced double for you there. Moving on to the Bride Advisory, formerly known as the RSA, formerly known as the Sun Alliance Chase. Gallop in the Champs is your 4-5 favourite. Of course, this is non runner no bet. Right. So looks like Willie has decided to run him in the Turners against Bob Ollinger, which baffles me. Bob Ollinger here is 5-4, but it looks like he's also going for the Turners, although no decision is made. Brave Man's Game is likely to be our favourite. He's 7-4 at the moment with FansBet. Then it is 5-1 a High Seigneur, 5-1 Lawn Press. It is 6-1 Capodanno, 9-1 Jungle Boogie, and 10-1 Bar. Right, we all know Willie just does Willie things, and as Patrick Mullins says, he lives in Willie Mullins land, and that is a place that nobody else resides, okay? But were either of you as shocked as I was when he decided to tell us last week that Gallop in the Champs would be going for the Turners? David?
The Turners is the...
It's a
2.5 mile.
Oh, sorry, the 2.5 mile. Yeah, because I think he's... I was shocked because I think he's the only really Gold Cup chance he has in the next couple of years. So I don't understand why he'd run the 2.5. That'd be my shock.
And the way I was looking at it was that this race is easier because there's likely to be no Bob Ollinger in it, and like I think he would have a better chance in this race than he would in the Turners. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. He could get beaten this race. Like he's ran twice over fences, hasn't he? Yeah, twice over fences. I don't know if he's going to be sharp enough 2.5 around here. He's a big, leggy horse. He hasn't really got taken on a whole lot. He did the last day, and his jumping wasn't as good as it was the first day, I thought. I just think a tight track like Cheltenham could catch him out over a distance I think is too short.
What's he like at home?
He's a fine, big horse. Nice to look at. He is big. He's a bit light, all right, and he's narrow.
He's not that big.
Is he not that big? No.
He's definitely 16.3.
He's not.
We'll have a score on.
All right.
What was the bet?
He says he's 16.3. I said he's not.
Yeah, I know, but what was the forfeit?
€20.
Oh, €20, okay.
We're not
Loaded
as like you.
This is your fourth preview night in a row. He is a gorgeous horse to look at, though, Mike. Like he's the colour of Everton. I seen him in Leopardstown. I just thought he was gorgeous.
Yeah, no, he's a great colour, all right, but he's not big. I don't know if you want to run your Gold Cup horse over 3 miles, whatever it is, and butcher him as a 5-year-old. Is he a 6-year-old? So I wouldn't worry about that either. And I wasn't. The only thing I was shocked about was Willie Mullins announcing what he was doing so early, but I wasn't shocked about him going for this race at all.
Well, we've got mixed up with the race titles because this is the Brown Advisory we're doing now rather than the Turners.
Sorry.
But it can easily happen. They change the names all the time.
Yeah.
But Willie said he's not going for this race.
We're talking about Braveman's game.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, he's not. No, he's going for the 2-5-4.
Yeah. So we'll come on to Galloping the Champs in a minute. Obviously, he's favoured on the sheets there. If we're taking out Galloping the Champs and Bob Ollinger, what do you think is the most likely winner here, Mike?
Braveman's game is a certainty, and he would have gave Bob Ollinger and Galloping the Champs all of it. Absolutely.
Do you think so?
Made for this race, laid back, fantastic jumper. Paul Nicholls is going to turn up with a Gold Cup horse soon, and this is him.
Right. I absolutely love the horse. He was one of my strongest fancies at last year's favourite in the Ballymore. But it's just something that's nagging away at me for the last couple of weeks, and that's if you go back and watch the Ballymore last year, he should have finished second, Mikey. He should have finished second to Bob Ollinger. I don't mind Bob Ollinger beating him. Bob Ollinger's a freak, but Gallard de Menil was able to pass him. I don't think he enjoyed coming up the hill, I have to say. I think he could just be a bit of a flat track
Did he
bully.
make the running, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, hard thing to do. Denman got betting it as well, did he?
Yeah, he did,
He went on to be a freak.
Nicanor,
Yeah, Nicholls' horses, he hasn't fired out many Cheltenham winners in the last couple of years, but this lad will make a length at every fence.
Incredible jumper, isn't he?
Incredible jumper, brilliant racing mind for a novice 3-mile race. I think he's bomb-proof, and Galloping the Champs ran a little bit keen over 3 mile. Like, I know he's a fantastic leopard, but you know, Cheltenham, the fences are in different spots, and they come up at you quicker. Like, you know, you just rather. I can understand completely why he's running in the Turners that way.
Okay, interesting. And you think
I rode him in the Grade 1 last year, Brian.
You did?
Yeah. He's not a big horse though.
I scolded him twice before you ever rode him.
Maybe we're going to.
You rode him at Leopardstown, didn't you?
You know what,
We'll ask Willie to get the
tweet-
measuring stick out there
You
now.
tweet the crowd tomorrow, and we'll sort out this height issue.
I'm staying away from you on Twitter.
You rode him today in Leopardstown, didn't you, Galloping the Champs, when he was 100-1, which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
He didn't strike you as a superstar that day, obviously.
No. No. He
2 miles.
He hadn't ran in a while, and yeah.
He ran about 6 weeks beforehand in Christmas.
No, he didn't. He ran in Gorn in about October.
No, he didn't. He ran in Christmas and he went off odds on. And
Oh,
got
he did. He
stuffed.
did. You're right. Okay, sorry, we're not going to keep on.
Doubles are quits.
Right, I don't know.
David, we didn't get your most likely winner of this race. If Gallopin and Bob don't go here, are you a Brave Man's Game fan?
I'd be very worried about him getting up the hill. Exactly what you said. Sexual to look at going around over fences in Haydock that day. But when you give him a squeeze, he's still on the bridle. But I just didn't think he could. His legs
was
could go any
exactly
faster.
the same. Yeah.
I think that's what you see is what you get, and I don't think there's anything else there after that. I don't know, a high senior, will he be able to get far enough clear of him? I'm not sure. It's a funny race. Lamb Press, he was good around there the last day. Jumps very well. I'd have a few quid on him maybe, yeah.
He goes Turners.
Turners, yeah.
It's likely. Well, they haven't
So
decided.
they're talking about going for this race now.
Yeah, it could change obviously, and it's tricky obviously because we don't know who's running where. I agree with a lot of what David said there, Don. I'll tell you what. I'll lay my cards on the table. I think Ahoy Senior is a good thing here.
Yeah, no, I think he's the difference between him and Brave Man's Game is bigger than it should be. I think he should be closer to him in the betting. I think the track would suit him better than Brave Man's Game. Even like he got beaten in the Felton by him, but yeah, he's just a really good jumper of fences. They were talking about maybe going for the Gold Cup with him, weren't they?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to go here now.
Yeah, which is grand. Long Press, he was always on track for the Turners, and then when Gallopin the Champ maybe was going for the Turners, they kind of had, maybe we'll go for the 3 mile race instead. Is Gallopin the Champ definitely going for the Turners then? Is that confirmed now?
That's what Willie
I didn't read.
Yeah.
I was there. I asked because I was so shocked. I asked him 3 times.
Yes, but he didn't say
sure?
definitely. He said
they've mixed up the race titles.
He didn't say definitely, don't know.
He said it doesn't say definitely about much.
No, he doesn't. He didn't say definitely. He goes. Hold on, keep talking. I'll find you the quote.
That could happen though. He could have.
Go on, keep talking. I'll find you the quote. Go on.
So, and interestingly, right, so the
You have
Turners.
2 minutes there.
The Turners is actually 2 miles, 3.5 furlongs. It's not even fully 2.5 miles.
He's going down a trip. Yeah.
And the PJ Moriarty is 2 miles, 5.5 furlongs. So actually, it's probably not as big a jump up to the Brown Advisory as it is down to the Turners. Similar. Plus, he won a Grade 1 3 race over 3 miles over hurdles last year at Punchestown. So I was surprised. But that said, look, he's a pacey horse. He jumps really well, so he's going to take a lot of beating, but wherever he goes. But I think the overlooked horse in the Brown Advisory is Beacon Edge. He's had a bit of a stop-start season so far. He had a bit of a setback. He won the Drinmore Chase, and then he had a bit of he had a setback before Christmas. He didn't make it to Christmas. Then he fell early on at Leopardstown, and then last time he finished within 3 parts of a length to Farouk Delaine, giving him £7. And to me, that was a really good run, given that he's probably going to come on for that run. His run in the Stairs Hurdle last year was a really good run. He finished 4th in the end behind Florian Porter, but he actually went with Florian Porter, where he chased him around the home turn, and then he just got tired from the final flight home. I thought that he ran better. He could have finished second if he hadn't chased Florian Porter as early as he did. And back at Cheltenham, I just think he's a 14 to 1 or 16 to 1 shot. I think that's too big about him.
Interesting, that's Beacon Edge. So I found the quote. So this is what Willie said. Gallopin did it very well at Leopardstown, and I can't see him going up to 3 miles. It's not a decision yet, but at the moment I'd be favouring going for the shorter race. He was so good the first day, and he was very brave the last day. I think Paul learned a lot about him the last day. He could go in either race, and I want to have a chat with Paul, but I'd be happy enough to go in the Turners. I think he has the ability to do that. He jumps well, he's sharp, and I don't think he needs to go 3 miles. Bob Ollinger is obviously a worry, but I'd be thinking our man will be better off in the shorter race. I'll have a chat with Paul and I'll see what he's thinking, but that's the way I'm thinking at the moment. So
it's a strange one too, because you'd have like Owen Collier or Sam maybe stepping up for the Turners if they wanted, whereas for the 3 miler it's Capadana really, isn't it?
He always likes going shorter with horses. Like
I would too.
Does he? Yeah.
Everyone does that.
But like he
Henry
struggled
Bromhead,
so long
yeah.
to win a Gold Cup, and it worked for Album Photo. I know he fell in the RSA. He ran him again in Fairy House, and he did get a hard novice season.
He'll know he'll outstage something over shorter, like. It's always nice to have that tool, like in your.
Yeah, you know he'll stay.
Yeah, you can
go back up.
Yeah.
Diarmuid Nolan, are you a Brave Man's Game fan for the Brown Advisory?
The last time we did our preview was the Dublin Racing Festival Preview, and I agreed with you that Galliman Deschamps was a machine. Leopardstown was good, but I probably agreed with Stephen Cass a bit more afterwards, not to get too excited with him just yet. Brave Man's Game, I thought the last day as much as I love Pat's Fancy, I just thought that performance was absolutely class. I thought his jumping was absolutely...
But I thought you said Pat's Fancy wasn't too busy.
No, but still, like even aligned to Grumpy Charlie back in third, that's still, to give those horses weight like that 142 rated horse or whatever else, I think Grumpy Charlie could win a handicap off that kind of rate as well. To give those horses that kind of weight and a beating that comfortably with Paul Nicholls' horses running like drains as well, there's an awful lot to that. The hill though continues to be a small concern of mine as well. As much as I absolutely love Brave Man's Game, it is a small concern for me. And the one I've landed down on is a 16 to 1. Dusart is very talented. He's been going right-handed this year and hasn't shown him to kind of best effect. Nicky Henderson was intimating at his preview or his stable day or whatever else that this horse could well go to the RSA. Or the Brown Advisory, sorry. And I just think if he can get around, like that performance last time, he just hated going right-handed, but he still was just buried that field. And as much as, like, I kind of thought he was a supreme horse, to be honest, at the start of the season, but he's a horse that clearly stays all day, and at 16 to 1 or so, he's got a class about him that isn't, as a novice hurdler, you wouldn't have had him after that first run in Newbury that far behind Brave Man's Game. So at 16 to 1 or 20 to 1, or I'm not sure what price he is, but he's, I think he could run a huge race.
Well, I don't know if you know, but I do a show called Up in the Ante-Out every Tuesday, 5 o'clock roughly. And one of my first tips was Dusart for the Arkle, because I was over Nicky's back in November at the open meeting at Cheltenham, and I saw him school, and he was electric. He was electric. He's jumped. I think he's jumped terribly in his
I think he's just going the wrong way.
Maybe
I
he is
think
going the wrong way.
I don't think he's doing anything wrong over his fences. He's just trying to go left while going right-handed.
Yeah, maybe, and maybe he will put it all together when he steps up and trip. But I love the horse, but I'll tell you, if we're here this time next year, I'll buy you a drink for the night if Dusart wins this, because this is a proper race. Brave Man's Game, a high senior, Capadano. If Lon Presco's here, I'd be surprised now. But far be it from me, you're a far better judge than I am. Dean Ryan,
Doubt that.
Where do you stand with Brave Man's Game, a high senior?
I think it's a really sensible move for Willie Mullins to swerve Brave Man's Game with Gallopin Deschamps, to be honest. I'm that confident that Brave Man's Game jumping to win this all day long. And they may as well go take on Bob Ollinger. I actually think he had beaten both races There's a future in Galloping des Champs, but I don't think it's this year at Cheltenham. Wasn't that impressed with the last run. I thought the jumping was a bit crabby. There's, he beat Langer down in the handicap, and then he's gone and beat Master McShee. I think we're talking about an overrated horse at this point. Although there's a few
Hammered him though. Hammered.
Yeah, hammered him, but wouldn't be even in the mix in this race. I don't think. Brave Man's Game 7-4 right now is mental. I think it's still
Mentally
way too
good?
early. Yeah, absolutely. You're sort of I think it's more heartbreak
7-4,
you're worried
7-1.
You're worried about the hill from the
Ballymore.
race last year. Yeah, exactly. But I think it's more heartbreak in the jockey. I don't think the jockey must have gone there thinking I'm absolutely on Denman reincarnated. Right? That was the vibe. You gave me that vibe as well from the preview last year.
I learnt my lesson.
And they all thought that, so they couldn't believe what they got beat by. But you have to remember they got beat by Bob Ollinger.
And Gallard de Manille.
Yeah, but that was eventually, right?
He was dropped in a bit.
Yeah, I think eventually they got beat by.
Finished second.
Yeah,
but
eventually,
still.
but it wasn't.
Yeah, he was picking up a broken heart.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is a jockey
maybe,
go,
yeah.
oh my God, how has this happened to me?
Top of the game was
on
beating
this
over
horse.
2.5 miles
Yeah,
in Cheltenham as well. before
Brave
he went
Man's
to win
Game
it.
is the new
be fair.
Denman. And I think
Sort.
Paul Nicholls has got a Gold Cup horse here. He will win this race. Galloping des Champs should swerve Brave Man's Game because the jump will break his heart. And I think this is an absolute certainty.
Okay.
There we go.
I genuinely do hope you're right because I love the horse, but I'm with David on this one. I think we were fooled a little bit up the home straight at Newbury the last time. I'm not sure how much was in the locker.
I think you have to remember the jockey's mentality is that he can't believe he can get beat and suddenly he's getting beaten. That does change. I'm not one. There's two here.
I thankfully for horses have never sat on I have done horse riding lessons. I was shocking, but there's a lot more going on, isn't there, boys, than we see. Like Paul Carberry told me when I interviewed him recently, like it was all about his legs. Everything was in the legs. I think there was more squeezing going on the last day with Brave Man's Game than we kind of gave it credit for, maybe. I don't know.
I thought it even in Haydock.
That's what I'm talking about. Is it where do you run the last day?
Newbury.
One Newbury, but I'm talking about Haydock.
I'd say you'd be squeezing him walking down the road to the Gallop.
Right.
He's that sort of lazy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Deuce no back number, isn't it? It's a super engine in that horse, and Denver's right to pull him out. I think if there is a flyer in here, something that's going to surprise everyone, it'll be that one.
Okay, and Dan, to sum up here, Brave Man's Game 7-4 with you guys. Are you a Brave Man's Game fan? We've a split camp here.
He's the one that's attracted the most support, probably because he's a guaranteed runner, whereas everything else isn't. For me, I'm just not always sure what does he find when he's asked? He jumped the last against Pat's Fancy 4 lengths ahead. When he finally got squeezed along, he finished about 4 lengths ahead. He's never necessarily found much. I think, again, we probably point to Bob Ollinger. Yeah. The poor guys who are doing shots for every mention of Pat's Fancy, and they're not making it free. They're not making it free. I'm just not sure how much you'll find. I think if he comes up against a top class horse, I think he might just find one too good. I think if Long Press goes here, I'd have him all day. I think 5-1 number on no bets is the bet for me. I think he's the best novice chaser in Britain.
Okay.
I think he's fantastic. I think next season, even if he doesn't run here, he'll be a big player in those 3-mile chases.
Yeah, he's a terrific jumper, isn't he? Especially going left-handed.
And he hits the line so powerfully with 2.5. Like this, given the way the Turners looks like being, I think they'll go here, and I think he's got a massive chance.
Okay, I've got to keep you on your toes here in the crowd. Okay, I want a show of hands. Who thinks Brave Man's Game is going to win the Brown Advisory? Whoa!
Wow.
That's not even a tenth of the crowd. No. Probably
It's about 7-4.
So the crowd are not so sure. I think the crowd might be in agreement with myself and David, and I'm going to keep with the crowd as we move on to the champion chase. Okay, hands up here if you think Paul Townend will ride Energamine in the champion chase. Do you think Paul Townend will ride Energamine in the champion chase? Okay, we're talking.
There's nothing sure.
And hands up here who thinks Paul Townend will ride Shack and Persois in the champion chase. Okay, so it's 90%. It's pretty 80 or 90% Energamine, 10% including myself, Shack and Persois. David Mullins, you were straight up with your hand there, saying Paul Townend would ride Energamine. Why?
Shacken doesn't seem to operate around there, and I'm fairly sure that. Well, sorry, my opinion is that Energamine is the best horse than Willie Mullins is. I was shocked he got beat the last day.
Were you?
Yeah, shocked. I don't think there was something wrong with his jumping or something.
Did he not jump brilliant? No, I thought he jumped brilliant. No.
I thought he made every fence spot on, and Shishkin didn't, and he never made any ground on him. I don't know what was wrong.
Yeah,
I thought he got every chance to quicken up down the straight. Shishkin should have fell in a hole. He obviously picked up like a good horse he is. Energy Mean just didn't stay finding well enough for me. I'm going to say there's something wrong with him or something, but I think he's a freak of a horse.
Do you?
Yeah.
And if the Energy Mean that you thought you knew or you think you know shows up here, can he reverse the form with Shishkin?
If he just jumps better, if he jumps the way I think he can, it'll be close. But it's very hard to say after that. But I really think, I'm fairly sure Paul Townend thinks he's the real deal as well.
So you thought going into the Clarence House at Ascot that Energy Mean was the best horse in Willie Mullins' yard?
I love me rocks.
There you go. It can happen. Mikey, you think he'll ride Shack and Boursois?
I agree. David made a valid point there now. I do. He was a bit low over his fences, but I just don't think after the last day, there's no way Energy Mean can beat Siskin. So why not throw the kitchen sink at and ride Shack and Boursois? Yes. Just that's on that basis alone of just bouncing out and making the running. The ground is good. Shack and Boursois will love it, like, you know, and that's the only way maybe you could beat Shishkin. But I think he's a certainty, Shishkin.
You think Shishkin is certainty?
Oh, certain.
David, do you think Shishkin will win?
If I was to ride one, it probably is. But Energy Mean, I just think if he does what I think he can do, he will win too.
Oh, I have to say that's the most noteworthy couple of minutes of the night, I think, on Energy Mean. Donn McClean, where do you stand in the champion chase?
From the last day, I can't see how Energy Mean is going to beat Shishkin. Like, he had everything the last day, right-handed, soft ground. Neither of them had ever run at Ascot before.
It is interesting, though, that David's saying that he doesn't think that
No, I know,
and
and
that's
new information.
yeah, that's
now,
new information that we have to process.
Good information to have, but I just think at Cheltenham, where Shishkin, we know he's dynamite. I still think Energy Mean goes a bit to his right, and while look at Nace on soft ground, that's probably an advantage because they went around the outside when they beat Captain Guinness. Same at Leopardstown. At Cheltenham, on good to soft ground, you're turning all the while to your left, and if he's just going a wee bit to his right, he's going to be giving away a half a length. And Shishkin, like, he'll hit his flat spot like Altior did. Mad how similar they both are. And you try and picture, you know, how races are going to pan out like this. And I can't see how an argument is going to beat Shishkin. I don't know. I can't see how he's going to do it. It's interesting with Shack and Boursois. Like, you know, people are saying now he's been to Sandown, they've been to Cheltenham. He underperformed both times. He doesn't travel, but it's a small sample size of 2. So, and there was obviously an excuse at Sandown. They said they didn't make enough use of him, or, you know, should ride him differently. So it is going to be interesting to see. But he's 10 now, so it's going to be hard to come back and win a champion chase, I think, as a 10-year-old. If there's a bet in the race for me, it's Nubia Negra. I just thought he was unlucky last year. He's disappointed last time in the Tingle Creek, but that was after a short break. All his good runs have been after long breaks. Dan Skelton has kept him off from the Tingle Creek to now on purpose. All the reports are positive about him, so I can see him outrunning his odds. But Shishkin, it's hard to argue with odds on about Shishkin.
Yeah, certainly. So Nubia Negra maybe each way at 10-1. Shishkin for Donn McClean as well. Lads, one question I should have asked you: if whatever Paul rides, who's going to pick up the scraps? Is it Danny who'll ride the other one, maybe, or Patrick?
Patrick,
yeah.
Patrick is palliative rich, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he might ride Shack and Boursois.
Okay.
I don't know.
He just said
Interesting.
He'll go into the office.
Put me down on that, please.
But if you think he's going to ride Shotgun, back him now, because he'll be shorter than an argument on the day if Paul Townend rides.
Yeah,
I don't know. David's probably right.
It's going to be interesting.
I know Townend loves Energy Mean as well.
But he does love Shacken though. Like he.
No, but you said that in the article on Gambling.com last year. That was it when you were both riding out the novice chasers or novice hurdlers, and he said this was a proper one. Was that you who said that?
Yeah, I forget probably what he said, but I know he loved this.
Like day one, he was raving about an Energy Mean.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting.
Did Willie say to you that he'd ride Shackle and Boursois?
Oh, Willie is like, it's not even a decision kind of thing.
Yeah.
Shackle and Boursois is better than Energy Mean. That's what Willie tells us.
He's been saying that for the last 5 or 6 years though.
Yeah,
he loves
he has.
Shacken.
He loves Shacken, yeah, he certainly does. He's unfinished business with Shackle and Boursois, I think, in the champion chase. Diarmuid, Shishkin is the real, the British captain. Yeah. He's the one that they need to win. A lot of pressure on his shoulders, not that he knows because he's a horse, but Can you see Shishkin get beaten here?
No, I can't. Kind of same as Donn. I think Shishkin has been. He's just. Well, he's had his faults with jumping. His end performance is faultless. He kind of screams of Altior, where you could see him going up a trip, but obviously Altior going up a trip didn't end too well. But Shishkin looks like one who could well go up, but he's just such a brilliant staying 2-mile chaser. Cheltenham's obviously small but short in our race at Ascot, but Nourishmean does go to his right ever so slightly, and I just think at the last day for me was the day when he had it all kind of. Now what David just said there obviously throws a spanner into the works somewhat, but still. Chacun Pour Soi, I can see that it could just be happenstance that those 2 runs were just poor runs when he went over to the UK. It's not necessarily sure, but just last season, like I was all over Put the Kettle On in this preview night last year. I absolutely loved her. And
You're showing off now.
no, but yeah, subtle brag. But I just thought that Chacun Pour Soi, Paul Townend had him in the vanguard the whole way. He was in the perfect spot, and he didn't even finish second. He was beaten by Nube Negra. He's a very good horse, but I just wonder whether Cheltenham, maybe more than anything else, was kind of his issue on the day, because he was flawless at Punchestown afterwards. He was absolutely brilliant. So I just wonder that. Maybe not travelling, but just kind of have issues here. Yeah, long story short, I just don't see how Shishkin's beaten. I just don't see it.
Dan, overall, can you see Shishkin getting beaten?
No. I think it was interesting. I read that they might do something a bit different with Energumene, based on the fact that he couldn't beat Shishkin under his ideal conditions from the front, and whether they give him a bit of a different tactical ride, which we've never seen on the horse before. Maybe that will play to the effect of Chacun, who might get an easier time out in front. The only other pace angle might be Editor Geet, who's not good enough, but he's only got one way of going. I'd be very intrigued if they rode Energumene very differently. I can't see how that would make much of a difference, but I think they're almost clasping at straws there to try and figure out a way to beat Shishkin, but I think they're looking at the impossible.
Shishkin, Dean?
Extraterrestrial, there isn't. I think that's the best word to describe him. He should have got beat by Energumene the last day. Seemed most things went wrong and most things went right for his rival. He still picked him up to the line.
Should have lost the Supreme as well.
He should have lost the Supreme. Actually, the Supreme's probably a better performance than what he put in to beat Energumene in the Clarence House. So we don't know where the bottom is. I think something has to go wrong again to find another level with Shishkin and he'll win. Chacun Pour Soi doesn't seem to like the boat, which is unfortunate because he's a super talented horse. There is no dangers, but let's just fingers crossed all goes well. I want Shishkin to win and win well. I think he is a superstar.
Yeah, Shishkin does look the part. Anyway, that's your 2022 champion chase, and the final Grade 1 on day 2 on Wednesday is the champion bumper, and it's an absolute belter. 10 to 11 with FansBet, Facile Vega, 5 to 2 American Mike, 11 to 2 Redemption Day, who Patrick seems very fond of as well. Mercury 17 to 2, not sure whether he's going to run in the race. 11 to 1 James Escape, 14 to 1 Poetic Music, and it's 16 to 1 Bar. Dean, there's a big split with pundits and punters between Facile Vega and American Mike. The Elliott camp seem like absolutely massively behind American Mike, thinking he's their next big thing. Whereas we've seen Facile Vega in Leopardstown, and he looks the next big thing. Where do you stand between these two? It's going to be a hell of a race, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have 2 superstars here, right? So I just backed the bigger price. They're both bumper horses, right? Nothing is bomb-proof. I was actually held my way to the car park at the DRF when Facile Vega won, which I feel terrible about now. Obviously, I've seen it since, but I decided I was going to skip it, but that was an aeroplane performance. What American Mike did before that was also very, very smart. So, yeah, I just backed the bigger price. So, as a punter, that's what I'll do. But I can't split them. How can you split them? I think, Heritage maybe says Facile Vega is the real deal, but American Mike's good. So, I'm no real view. I just take the bigger price.
Okay, hopefully the rest of the panel will be able to split them later on. Dan, who's the biggest loser here? Is Facile Vega a big loser?
Well, American Mike's the one that's come for support. I think maybe just feel should be closer together, and maybe we get a situation like last year with Sir Gerhard Kilcrut. The market doesn't want to know anything about anything else in the race. Although every time there seems to be an interview and Facile Vega gets mentioned, Redemption Day always pops up. Now, obviously, he looks maybe the speedier type, just based on what he did the last day, never really came off the bridle. I just do find it interesting that every time there's a mention of this race, Redemption Day is the one that gets mentioned. And
obviously his form was franked at the weekend as well, Music Drive, yeah.
Sandog again, kind of let down the Facile Vega form slightly. Was it a bit too soon for him? Probably. I wouldn't necessarily take that too literally. I think he's already turned out a bit too quickly, but Redemption Day I think might be the each-way alternative at this stage. And let's be honest, it wouldn't be the first time Willie Mullins' second, third or fourth string has beaten the most fancied runner. I think only once in the last 10 years has Willie's most fancied bumper horse actually finished ahead of the rest. So they generally could be a bit closer than the market perceives at the minute.
Diarmuid, don't tell us your fancy, but have you got a strong fancy?
I have no fancy.
Ah, shite. Go on, why?
No, I just literally the champion bumper is just a race that I tend to just completely leave.
Really?
Yeah. I'm back to winner since Robbie McNamara.
Whether which?
Well, Silver Concourse.
Silver Concord.
Yeah. So I
That was a great day.
left it.
Well done back in him.
Yeah, about 3 years after that, I just went, right, this is just, I have no clue here, so I just
Okay,
leave it,
so you're going to leave it alone.
leave it alone. Yeah.
Right, Don, before we get to the big guns at the end of the panel who know all these Willie Mullins horses inside out, what do you like?
Yeah, I'll defer to that. Look, similar to Diarmuid, really, like Facile Vega, he was seriously impressed, and that was a very, very deep bumper going into the Leopardstown race. There were like lots of winners in behind, and he stretched them out. And I know people were saying Kilcrut did the same and he got beaten. Appreciate did the same and he got beaten, but Kilcrut got beaten by Sir Gerhard. Appreciate got beaten by Fernie Hollow. Like it's the fact that Facile Vega did it as easily as he did, and just the turn of foot that he showed. Willie Mullins afterwards, I was interviewing him afterwards a couple of days later, and I asked him for one standout moment of the whole Dublin Racing Festival and the meeting that he had. He said Facile Vega, and he was just a bit blown away by him, which to me that's massive, and given his breeding as well. Look, he's just such an exciting horse. I won't be having a bet in the race, but I'd like to see him going and winning.
I'd say if we're sitting here this time next year, either like Facile Vega, American Mike, Redemption Day, Mercury, James's Gate, we could be talking Ballymore favourite, Supreme favourite. Like it could be. They look a really good bunch, don't they? Overall.
Yeah, no, they do. But that's what happens with the bumper. Like even last year, those Kilcrut is now getting back on track after a bit of a stop-start start to the season. So Gerhard, the champion bumper, it's a top race, and the ones that come to the fore, they generally, they're the top class hurdlers of the following season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Mikey, Willie could have 4, 5, 6 runners in this race, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Could you get an owl ride? No.
No, I'm not up there. No, I'm back home a good bit.
Oh,
I'm
are you?
only up there occasionally. Yeah.
You're good though.
Not at all. Stop with you. Enough lads there now.
What would you ride if he did ring you and said, "Look, Mikey, I owe you a favour. You can ride any of them in the race." What would you pick?
Probably not Facile Vega anyway, because you'd be under pressure riding him. I rode a 5th string in it one day and I nearly won it.
I'd say you're still suspended after.
Yeah.
Rode 18 times.
That was
after
Battleford.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You were unlucky that day.
I don't know.
Well, he was beating a nose, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
nose, wasn't it?
Do you think you were up? No.
Never. Once. Couldn't believe I was that fat. I couldn't believe I was still there. 5th string.
It's good to see you go out full of confidence when you're riding anyway, Mike.
Oh no, I didn't. Yeah. Anyway, but
You wouldn't ride Facile Vega, would you not?
I would, yeah. Of course. I'd probably ride American Mike if I could. Yeah.
Over Facile.
And if not,
So just to summarise, just to summarise, what do you actually fancy in the race? We'll paraphrase.
American Mike, yeah.
Okay.
Just
Why?
come easier ride, won a pint a pint. I just like his body language, the way he's won. Navan, just Jamie Gordon, and I agree with the lads. They say we don't know really. None of them have taken on each other. Redemption Day is a great each-way price too. They really like him. But American Mike for me.
I like that body language. I like that. I'm going to use that in an article. That's very impressive.
Well,
use
he
of
had
phrase.
that Envoy Allen sort of type of mould about him, and he went on to win it as well. And yeah, I just feel Jamie Codd, Gordon Elliott, he'll be able to be ridden 5th or 6th wide, whereas I don't know if Willie's will be able to ridden like that, And you can get traffic in Champion Bumper.
Yeah, you certainly
You could
can.
get put out through a rail like that,
No hiding place.
No. It's like bumper cars. It's like going out to Tremor and having a day out. Bang, bang. Yeah. That's a fact, and that's not lies.
Rough race.
It is
So
a rough race, yeah.
You're very eloquently phrased. You're an American Mike fan. David Mullins, can you shed any light on this Willie Mullins team?
Facile Vega has to be the standout. It could be anything. What we've seen, it's unbelievable what he's done in Leopardstown. It's not a race you'd have a bet on. Definitely not at the prices. If you had to have a bet or wanted a bet for the crack, Mullenbeg, she won a bumper in Milton Harris mare. She won it in Cheltenham.
The Milton Harris mare, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
she
sell it or
bought
something?
up. No, I should have bought it. I missed out on that one. Yeah, he only had it a couple of weeks. She bolted up somewhere else and then went to Cheltenham and bolted up again. She's ran around there. She'll drop in. I think you need to drop in the champion bumper. And also the other horse I like a lot is Chris Jones is again Rio.
It's Keen.
It's Keen, all right. Viva De Vito. I don't know whether he goes or not, but
Is that the Oak that won at Tremor, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Jody Town and Tremor.
Mullenberg 18-1, by the way.
Beat Noel Mead's horse, was it? Bugsmore?
I don't know what he beat, but I know he was good that day, and he is gorgeous at home. He's a bit light. Kilcrut was very light last year as well, and it's just maybe a bumper horse thing.
Does he go?
He says he does.
Wow. He's 100 to 1.
I wanted him to go to the DRF. The boys are funny. I was anyway. He obviously decided that he wasn't going there, and I rang David Casey and I said, David, what's the story? He says, oh, he goes straight to Cheltenham, Chris. So that was the.
Okay, interesting. He finished 4th in Punchestown last year, and he's 100 to 1. Yeah.
Is
was
it? Fuck.
100 to 1, yes.
Finds out.
Not for long. And the
Finds out.
the other horse that David Mullins gave a mention to there, that horse owned by Chris Jones is called Viva De Vito. And the other horse that David mentioned there is an Irish name. It is called Mullenbeg for Milton Harris. Won its last 2 starts. So there you go. There's a few big prices for you boys. I wasn't expecting that.
What's the 100 to 1 on?
I just checked there. 100 to 1 best price. Yeah.
On
Viva De Vito. 100 to 1. Yeah.
22s.
What price is he with you guys?
They don't mess.
No, not as big. 22s.
22s.
yes, that's the 100.
Don't boo me, it's not my
25
fault.
powers, like.
Well, there is 100 to 1 available in some shops, but not obviously as good as
You're just
FansBet.
not going to tell us this.
That is your 2022 champion bumper. Moving swiftly on to day 3, and this is the race of the week. It's the race of the year. It's the race of the decade, in my opinion, because I cannot wait to see Bob Ollinger against Gallopin Deschamps. Long Press is in there at 7 to 2. Brave Man's Game is likely to go for the other race, 92. Blue Lord the same. Riviere to Tell the same. And Jungle Boogie is 10 to 1. Could show up here. 11 to 1 bar. Dan, with FansBet, who is the more popular with punters, Bob Ollinger or Gallopin Deschamps?
Bob Ollinger is the worst result currently, and if want to compile those miseries, then Bob Ollinger and Brandy Love to win the Mayor's Novice. It'll be 6 to 1, boosted to 15 to 2. And with Allegoria Vassie out, that might appeal to some as a big
15 to 2, 7.5 to 1 for Brandy Love and Bob Ollinger. Are you a Bob fan?
Yeah. I thought he got, again, like his jumping last time I thought was very good. There's only one fence I thought he was a bit careful at, and everything else I thought he winged or was very adequate at. It was a very accomplished performance. I like that he had a bit of a race that day as well. Like he had to find to beat Capodanno, but once he eventually got into his stride, he put it to bed very quickly. I think over this 2.5 trip, obviously just on the short side of 2.5, I think he might just the extra gear that Gallopin Deschamps might not have. And we know from the Ballymore he's a top class horse. I think over this trip he might have the edge.
Diarmuid, these two are deadly.
Yeah, it's class, and it's just like the kind of champion chase. It's just really great when there's 2 horses going head to head like this. Gallopin Deschamps is kind of he jumps big and bold, and he looks to me like a stare, which is obviously very interesting going back a trip. And then Bob Ollinger, for me, maybe hasn't set the world alight with jumping. I don't have as much of a problem with his jumping as others do. I really don't. What Gordon Elliott said yesterday in the Racing Post, I think I read it there, that he happened to see him schooling a few days ago, and he said it was absolutely awesome.
Bob Ollinger.
For him to speak out of turn about Bob Ollinger is just, it's obviously noteworthy. Like, it's just strange that Gordon Elliott would, he go out of his way to mention that horse. His jumping needs to improve a bit, but like, it has to be remembered that Bob Ollinger was doing his winning while Henry de Brahman's horses were, down. So like, he might have been 95%, but 95% to him is still absolutely awesome. I just would have a concern for Gallopin Deschamps in that when it comes, just like Dan said there, when they turn the final bend, you'd nearly picture a small bit like Brave Man's Game, where Gallopin Deschamps could just be left standing still by the speed of Bob Ollinger. That's all. I think we have 2 absolute freaks. If either of them have a chink in their armour, they're going to. I'm happy enough to kind of avoid this race from a betting point of view, but if I did have to back one, or if somehow he drifted, I think it'll take a lot to beat Bob Ollinger.
Okay, so we have 2 Bobs so far. Dean, Ryan, are you going to make it 3 out of 3 for Bob Ollinger?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whichever race Gallopin Deschamps goes, I think he gets beat. So Brave Man's Game beat him in the Brown Advisory. I think Bob Ollinger will beat him in the Turners Novices. It's just too much speed, and what he did in the Ballymore last year, like I referenced before, broke a couple of very good horses' hearts. He's that good. But the one argument you might have is that he's slightly undercooked. But if Gordon's talking about in school in a way and he's seen him, then I wouldn't have any worries. Henry is coming right back into form. Even money's probably a fair price, to be honest. I think he's that good. I think Bob Ollinger will win. And Gallop in the Shops may go on and be the Gold Cup horse that we all think he is, and maybe Bob won't get that far. But I think Bob will win the Turners.
So 3 votes for Bob Ollinger. Donn McClean, are you going to make it 4? 4?
Yeah. I know, I just think this is his race for his Gallop in the Champ. I think he'd probably be better over further in time anyway. And Bob Ollinger, like everything he did last year was brilliant here, or at Cheltenham included. He's probably not as slick a jumper as Gallop in the Champ, but I think the engine that he has will make up for that. This is his trip. He's proven at the track. After his run the last day, Henry said, I've seen enough now, put him away. He was toying with the idea of giving him another run, I think, but he said he was happy enough to go to Cheltenham, and he's probably going to improve significantly from that, because that's the way Henry de Bromhead trains his horses. And yeah, I agree with you that this is going to be the race of the week and the race of the year. Like to have these two lining up against each other, like Gallop in the Champ, he's a phenomenal horse, and his jumping is superb, and all his runs this season have been over this trip. So you can see why he's going for the race, and it sets up a hell of a clash. I was thinking Saint Sam after the run the last day behind Riviere de Tel and Blue Lord. I thought he might improve for stepping up and trip, and that this might be his race, but it's turned into a red. And I know he's probably going to run to the Arkle anyway, but it's turned into a red hot race. I think Saint Sam is an interesting horse, but these two are these are the A-listers.
Mikey, these two running against each other. It's like you sitting there tonight and having Jennifer Lopez one side and maybe Jennifer Aniston the other side, is it?
No.
They're sexy.
Oh yeah. Oh sorry. Yeah, I thought to pick one. Yeah, no, I know which one I'd pick. Bob Ollinger. Yeah.
Would you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I never saw a horse work. He worked at Monk's Grange there.
That's the same day Gordon's talking about, yeah.
Right, and
No, I think he worked in Navan as well.
It was over fences in Navan, but this is before, I think. This is maybe November, December time, and Henry brings down a lot down there, and I never seen David Roach run. If a jockey at the end, this is 2 mile schooling bumper. If the reins broke, he would have fell out over his tail. He was going that hard, and he's a spectacular horse, and I think he's a certainty. Yeah.
5 votes in a row for Bob Ollinger. Are you going to complete the full house, David?
100%, but Mikey, why would you go there with Gallop in the Champs then?
Because it's the right race for that horse at this moment in his career. And Willie Mullins
it's the exact reason he never ran Quevega in a championship race and kept running in the mares, because it was the most winnable race.
How do you know Willie Mullins thought Vega was ever good enough to win a champion hurdle?
Or a stairs hurdle?
Sure, she probably wasn't.
It didn't matter. It would go for the race she'd win.
They're the best of friends, really.
No, but that's not like with like. This horse, you try to tell me 16-3 and he's not, right? And this is the right race.
Size doesn't matter. That's what he told me anyway. Size doesn't matter.
Bob Ollinger is a good thing. I don't even think the rest of them will run it. Well, nothing on this sheet. I don't think will run it. I don't think so.
You still think Gallopin will go for the?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised
I
either.
wouldn't be surprised.
So we have a full house, 6 out of 6. Yeah, the 60 is there. 6 out of 6 for Bob Ollinger in the Turners. Let's bring the crowd in. Hands up if you fancy Bob Ollinger. Oh, I can't believe this. And hands up if you fancy Gallop in the Champs. Whoa, it's a kind of a 9/10, 1/10 split of the audience here. It's all about Bob Ollinger. A lot of love for Bob Ollinger in the Turners. Novices Chase. It's going to be a cracker if Bob Ollinger runs against Gallop in the Champ. Moving on to the next grade one of the day.
David, just a question for the lads. Like, do you think that Willie thinks...
Don. Do you want to present?
Why?
I know with racing TV you wear a pundit and now you're presenting on your own sometimes. But
This is a relevant question.
go on, I'm only messing. I was joking.
I was hoping you'd ask.
No, I was joking. Go on. Go for it, Don. Take it away. Just make a good job of it.
Right, okay. Do you think that Willie thinks that Gallop in the Champ has a better chance of beating Bob Ollinger here than he has of winning the 3 mile race then?
You can be mad at times, but can't be that mad.
No, I think he's doing the right thing for the horse. like I think that he's afraid Brave. He won't stay the 3 mile. It'll be a very tough race in other fences.
You go around with his head in his chest and beating Brave Man's game.
I'm completely with David here. I have
Yeah,
to say.
no, that's what I think as well.
His
You're
heart broke
talking
beating
about one
Bob
of
Bollinger.
all-time great trainers. Why isn't he doing that then?
I don't know. I think he will.
Maybe he will.
I think he will.
He's not going to do that.
Tell me this.
No way. What does he gain by saying that there the other day? Like, no reason.
Tell me this, is he a big horse galloping the champ? Anyway, moving swiftly on to the Ryanair Chase, the next grade 1 of the day. And I have a feeling it's going to be short and sweet because currently Allaho is 4-6 favourite with FansBet. Most of the horses underneath them are not going to run. I would think even as far down as Chamblou, because I think Conflated is going to go for the Gold Cup, Shack and Persois for the Champion Chase, Aplutar for the Gold Cup, Energamine for the Champion Chase. So you're into Chamblou at 8-1, Janadale 17-2, 10-1. Bar. David, is this a penalty kick for Allaho?
Looks it, yeah. Janadil, if he runs though, he is a good horse.
You kind of get the impression we just haven't seen the best of him yet, have we?
I know, yeah. He is a nice horse though. I think there's plenty to come from him, so yeah, I don't think he's a million miles away even on homework.
Okay, that's Gianadil, 17-2 currently with FansBet. He certainly looks an each way alternative to Allaho, so he obviously works fine and nice horse.
I haven't rode him this year at all, but I know from before anyway. I would have always had Janadil as a proper grade 1 horse. Yeah.
Brilliant, lovely stuff, very informative. Mikey, Allaho, 4-6.
Penalty kick, and he's 17-3. Just to let he's massive. Like, he's proper.
Yeah, he's massive. He's a big beast, isn't he?
Yeah, beast.
Now, like, people here tonight are going to be looking at Allaho and they're going to see 4-6. They're going to say, I can't really back him in a single. Is he one to kind of put into your multiples? Do you think he's the real good thing of the week of all the shorties?
Yeah, bomb-proof. Brilliant jumper. Look, brilliant, yeah. Mustard.
Mustard. Happy with that, Mikey. Fair enough. Donn McClean, 4-6 Allaho, yay or nay?
Look, it's, as Mikey says, he's bomb-proof. You know, it's his trip. It's brilliant at the track. He'll just go fast and they won't catch him, I'd say. Like, he's the most likely winner by far. But I think there's value in going beyond him, like each way or even without him, because as you were saying, like the race is going to cut up. And Chamblou, he's going to be second favourite when Aplutar and Energamine and Shack and Persois come out. And to me, he's a flat track horse. Weatherby, Newbury, there's tracks. He went too fast last year in the novices race, the Turners as it is now. So I think he's takeable, honourable. Eldorado Allen, I think he's a bit of value at 14-1 or thereabouts. And I think the Tizzards confirmed just today that he's definitely going for this because he wasn't in the Gold Cup, but after he won the Denman Chase at Newbury, they were talking about supplementing him. I think one of the owners wanted to supplement him for 30 grand, but I think it's the right race for him because he probably wouldn't stay the Gold Cup trip. But he was good the last day, and he won the Haldon Gold Cup at Exeter at the start of the year. Then he stepped up to 2.5. It didn't look like a stiff enough test for him in the Peterborough Chase, but he stayed on behind First Flow. And he did well at Newbury the last day. He's got Cheltenham form as well. He finished second in the Arca last year behind Shishkin. He got the better of Captain Guinness and All Mankind for second. So I think 14-1 about him is too big. Yeah.
Okay, very, very interesting. That's Eldorado Allen, who beat Royal Pagaille last time at Newbury. This is one of these races, Diarmuid, where you're going Allaho's 4-6. We can watch him win and we can put him in multiples and all that. But have you managed to find anything like Donn, maybe at an each way price?
No, like I have there, Allaho wins, doesn't he, on my notes. Eldorado Allen was where I actually didn't realise that Tizzer said that today. He was the one that I was looking at as the one to win in the without market. That was actually one of the best rides of the week last year, was the finish second in the Arc.
Unbelievable.
It was an absolute...
Harry Cobden.
It was absolute...
Legend.
It was one of the best rides of the whole week. Absolutely brilliant ride. It was kind of similar to Mon Mom all those years ago to finish place in the Gold Cup, to finish third and behind thing. Absolutely superb ride. But yeah, the horse can easily pick up the pieces. It's not the best renewal in the world. Allaho, I was actually happy to take him on, I thought, for most of the season after the John Durkin. I thought maybe he wasn't thinking just awesome last time, just absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I'm kind of happy to short this from a win point of view and back Eldorado Allen without.
Dean?
Yeah, I'd love Allaho in the Gold Cup. I mean, he can win enough Ryanairs. I don't think anyone ever remembers that.
He's strange for the size of him, isn't he? He's strange that he's for the size of him that he didn't turn into a Gold Cup.
I think he'd get home this time. That would be my view.
Neither here nor there, though, is it?
Can't be proven
You know
wrong.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like he's not
No,
running
I
the
agree.
go-go.
I agree. I'd love him to go there. He's not going to go there. He'll win this. Do you want any more?
Yeah, well, if you want.
Shamblu will be second. I just think we don't know quite what the ceiling is with Shamblu. It's probably not Allaho's ceiling, but it's probably the second.
He's a good
best
horse on his day, isn't
He's
he?
very, very good. And that Charlie Hall performance, albeit ended in nightmare. It could have well have been a real step up the ladder, and I think it's in their locker. Dan normally brings them off long breaks. He likes long breaks going at Cheltenham. It's been a little bit enforced, obviously, but I think Shamblu will be second. He's 8-1, and without market, yeah,
7-2, 4-1, probably. Without,
maybe, yeah. I mean, probably a lot of these are going to come out, DJ. So he'd be favourite for that, I'd say. But yeah, Shamblu will be second. But Allaho, yeah, stick him in the multiples. They really should be. Willie's best chance in Gold Cup, and he's not going to run it. That's a shame.
Next year. There's always next year. Hopefully.
Yeah,
He'll be
maybe
back
they'll just win
running the
another
Gold Cup.
Ryanair and just add another trophy to a pointless shelf in the office.
Dean. No more free flights with Michael O'Leary for you.
Ryanair means nothing. What does it mean? It's just ruined the other races at the festival, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. Dan.
Good luck to them. Good luck to them.
Well recovered. It'll go up short than 4 to 6, especially if some of the other short price ones.
Wait,
come in
how
today.
low can you go though? Like it's a grade 1 at the Cheltenham Festival. He's not going to go off.
Is it really a great? What's in behind him, really though? Like, it's nothing else much. I think at the minute he won by 12 lengths last year. We've got him at 3-1 to win by 10 lengths or more, which I think is probably a reasonable enough price. The one I thought was probably a big price in behind to finish second, Chatham Street Lad. Now he had a bit of a setback recently, so he might not run here. But I think he's very capable of finishing second here. He was 4th in the Marsh, didn't get a clear run at all that day. Hacked up in the Caspian Caviar a couple of years ago off 141, very impressive. Travelled very well for a long way in that Betfair chase, just doesn't stay the trip. I think back over 2 mile 5, ridden patiently, pick up the pieces, 40-1 currently, so you'll get a decent price on without market. If he makes it, I think he's probably where I'd go for second.
Brilliant stuff.
That interview with Mick Winters afterwards.
Oh, gold.
Yeah.
Absolute gold.
Yeah.
Mick Winters, Chatham Street Lad. Lads, one horse that I think actually could run really well in this, especially if it cuts up, is Mellon. I thought Mellon was pretty good at going
Yeah,
last
he
time.
was actually very good. Yeah.
Is he all right?
Yeah, David said a great thing, but it's one or two of the races that takes away from the Cheltenham Festival.
I
It's
think
the
it's
Ryanair.
the one race that
Third
takes.
That's what it does.
Yeah.
Ruins the other stuff.
It should be in Nace last Saturday.
That's the Ryanair chase. Yeah, it's a valid point. It does.
Eldorado Allen,
That
by
is
the way,
like-
I'm fairly sure the T&Cs think a lot of it. I remember Robbie Power when he was over there, and I was chatting to him. Was it last year? When the horses weren't running well, but he was the horse they were hanging their coats on at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So a few shout outs for a few things each way there. Maybe Eldorado Allen, Shamblu, Mellon I thought could run well. So it's going to be interesting. And the final race we're going to look at before we have a little break and allow you to get your points in is the Stayers Hurdle. And at the moment with FansBet, Flooring Porter is your 130 favourite. Did a spectacular piece of work at Fairyhouse recently against American Mike. Time Hill is 4-1, 9-2 Classical Dream, 9-2 Champ, 6-1 Paisley Park, 8-1 Royal Kahala, 17-2 the headbanger that is Asterion Falange, and it is 9-1 Bar. Right, Dean Ryan, Stayers Hurdle. It is an interesting race. There's probably no absolute superstar in it, but it's open, it's competitive, it's 130 to field. What wins it?
Yeah, you might remember last year, if anyone watched it, I think I called Time Hill a certainty for the race. Unfortunately, he missed it. But what we saw was Flooring Porter go and win it, and it would have set it up perfectly for him. He was a certainty. And this year, he still is a certainty. Okay, the division is terrible. Champ is 10. His Cheltenham record, if you discount... Actually, let's stop the RSA that he won, right? Two jumps out. He's 1,000 to 1, right? The rest of his record is 2F pulled up 2.
He won it, though.
Yeah, I know he did. But he's 10 now. He isn't going to do this. Time Hill would not have been right at the long walk this time round after that French trip. I have no idea why they went to France. I don't know what they were thinking, how they come up with that plan. It looked like he'd never seen a French hurdle, but it looked like he'd never even seen a hurdle before. Everything went completely wrong. So there's a comeback mission then behind Champ. This is going to set up perfectly. Flooring Porter being in the race is exactly what you want for Time Hill. There's not been anything in his races where he's got beaten that could take him to the last and take him over the last. When he won Aintree, it was almost like redemption for what happened at Cheltenham, and they missed the race. I think 4-1 is an outstanding price. There's nothing in here.
Dean, you'll never guess what. I actually agree with you.
There's nothing
First
in
time
it.
tonight. I'm a Time Hill fan as well. Dan, an open market. I know you've got an offer on Flooring Porter or Classical Dream to win.
Yeah, so if you fancy one of those two, and I guess it's probably going to be a race who gets to the front and can make all with those two, if you think one can do it. It was 6-4, now 9-4 for either Flooring Porter or Classical Dream. On Time Hill, I agree with both of you. I rack my head. With this race for so long, I think you can pick holes in pretty much everything at the top of the market in one way or another. Paisley Park would be a great story, but again, I just can't see it. Whereas Time Hill is probably the most solid in here by some distance. Only outside of the top two twice. One was in the 2020 Albert Bartlett when he was fourth in the vintage renewal. The other
Unlucky.
time-
Unlucky.
Yeah, exactly.
Very
Yeah.
Unlucky for him.
And the other time was in France, where you just put a big fat line through that, and it.
You have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Classical
It's
Dream
worth
is a Weetabix horse. I want to ask the boys down the end what they think of this horse, but like it depends.
It's a what?
Right, so it's what they have
A
for breakfast.
Weetabix horse?
It means what they have for breakfast. You don't know what you're going to get. Classical Dream turns up with 2 Weetabix under his belt. You get Classical Dream. Another day, what do you get? What is he? Explain him. You never know what he's going to do. Do you know what the yard know? When the money came from Punchdown today, backed off the boards, it got exactly what they knew they had. Happened similar to Supreme. Wasn't even going to go for the Supreme that year. There was a late decision. Then they go. They know what they've got, right? If something like that happens here, I'd be worried about that horse because obviously there's freakish performances in there. But he's a Weetabix horse.
Right, I get your point. I just don't quite get the analogy. But
You're not old enough to remember Ian Botham telling you had to have 2 Weetabix in the morning. That's where it came from.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it not shredded wheat?
No.
It was shredded wheat.
Oh, we have a debate now. It's shredded wheat.
Somebody had their Weetabix. It was Jack
Exactly.
Jack
Thank
Well,
you. Thank
The
you.
most bizarre thing about that is somebody actually knows what you're talking about.
There's someone as old as
Come
me
on,
in the
Charles.
audience.
That's Charles McGooey there.
So,
Charles the hero. So
okay,
that's okay.
come on, Charles. Thanks very much. So it was shredded wheat in the end, anyway.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Well, we have 1, 2, 3 votes for Time Hill. Are you going to make a 4, Diarmuid?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. For a horse that's a bit of a wrong at times, you know, he does kind of he doesn't go through with his effort all the time. He's actually very solid. You know, he always kind of gets thereabouts. Always had a bit of a mental question with him. He doesn't quite go through with it every time, but I think Flooring Porter solves. I've been through a lot with this race this year. Champ was one that I really loved, and he kind of let me down last time. And then I was kind of falling on towards Classical Dream, and then I just thought the Goran one was crazy to go there. It's absolutely mental. So for a horse that kind of goes well.
He
so
did
far.
regret it now, I have to
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
We
of
were
course.
in Willie's last week, and he was like, kind of local track, thought it'd be a bit of a penalty kick, just let him take his chance. He regretted it.
Yeah, and it was, look, I'm never going to question Willie Mullins, you know, he's in it like when it comes to training horses, obviously, or anything else really for that
He's
matter.
all right, yeah.
But yeah, you know, Time Hill, he's just rock solid, and Flooring Porter is the final piece of the puzzle that maybe he's lacked so far. I think he'll get dragged into that race, and Time Hill will get up the hill. This could just be a bit of Stockholm syndrome. I've listened to Dean talk about his horse so long that he might just be, you know, that it's just been beaten.
We'll let this win for me, and you can have Pat's fancy.
There you go,
We'll-
perfect.
We'll,
Very
we'll
generous.
take it. We'll take
4 votes for Time Hill. I just have a feeling it's going to come to an abrupt halt here, Don.
Yeah, I think Flooring Porter is overpriced. He's favourite.
Overpriced 130?
Yeah.
Wow.
What price should he be?
5-2, I would have thought.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's the most likely winner by some way. Like he's a horse who's never really got due recognition. He won last year with any amount in hand. I know Time Hill wasn't in the race, but he couldn't have done any more than he did. And the race the last day at Leopardstown, it was a bizarre race, bizarre start. And I'm not sure Paul wanted to lead on Classical Dream, but he got a flyer and he took it. It didn't help Flooring Porter. He couldn't get past him. He kind of, even on the run-in, he nearly didn't want to come out to go around him, but I'm sure Danny Mullins will have a plan to rectify that on the day. And if he can get, look, we know he's got his quirks. He goes to his right, he goes to his left, but Danny Mullins gets on really well with him. And if he can get him into his rhythm early on out in front, I think he's going to take an awful lot of beating. Agree with the lads. I don't think it's a great stairs hurdle, really. Royal Cahal, I think, would be interesting if she ran in this, but I think Peter Fay said if the ground is soft, she's going to run in the mare's hurdle, and if the ground is not soft, then that's going to decrease her chance of winning a stairs hurdle. So I think she's an interesting mare, especially on soft ground, but yeah, I think Flooring Porter is the most likely
One of
winner.
your strongest fancies of the week?
Not really, no, I just think he's,
Oh.
yeah, I just think he's it's kind of like you're looking for horses against him, or that's my starting point, but I think he's the most likely winner. I think it's, you know, if he gets out in front, and that's what you're betting on. If he can gets out in front and gets into a rhythm, I think he'll take a lot of catch.
Yeah, I think anybody that saw him work in Fairyhouse, I think it was week before last, I think took a while to pull him up that day. So he's obviously in good heart, Flooring Porter. Mikey Fogarty, what do you like in the stairs hurdle?
Was American Mike in the same bit of work?
Yeah, same bit of work, yeah. Now, I think it wasn't a case of, they were both flat out, but I think it was more what Flooring Porter did after the line that day in
Who won the
Ferriers
bit
to
of work?
pull him up, Flooring Porter.
Flooring Porter bet American Mike in the bit of work in
Yeah,
Ferriers.
but it's work, like it's not.
Did
I
you
don't
see
think American Mike was at the pin of his collar, like.
Okay.
You seen it?
No, I was talking to somebody who did see it though.
2 miles soft ground Ferry House.
Presume so, yeah.
Okay.
I'm after hearing 4 horses in that school.
That won it.
No, the 4 horses work with American Mike.
Right.
So.
And Flooring Porter didn't win it.
I'm sorry, I don't know who won it, but I've heard now.
Oh, Flooring Porter won it alright.
You're the
was
first to
he?
tell me Flooring Porter worked in it, but I've heard 2 other horses as well.
Okay.
Was American Mike far behind Flooring Porter?
I don't think so, no.
Well, that's just interesting.
Yeah, no,
You'd
it is
never-
interesting.
Wouldn't hear of it nowadays as much, like.
Yeah.
And really, or like, other 2 Cheltenham favourites working.
What would he be running? I can't understand why you'd be working at Cheltenham. Was it
Bumper
over
horse,
hurdles?
Gordon-
No, no,
Gordon
it's just
and
a school
Gavin
and
train
bumper.
is similar though. They kind
School and
of
bumper.
yeah, they train similar, and it works honestly. So yeah, no, that's just interesting. Yeah,
I think they both worked well. I think
Yeah.
Gordon was delighted with American Mike and Gavin was delighted with Flooring Porter. Like.
yeah, I'd say you're right because like your man like Flooring Porter, I'd say is a fair yoke to work now.
Yeah, and am I right in saying in these school races, generally the horse that gets in front stays there? Would that be fair?
Could be,
Yeah.
depends. Yeah.
There'd be no one wanting to make the running.
Yeah. So that could have been it. Anyway, what do you like, Mike?
Flooring Porter, yeah, I just think he's the most solid of them all, really, and there's a few of them there that could let you down. So yeah.
What's Classical Dream like in Willie's?
Me? Oh, he's grand, yeah. Ailish rides him the whole time there, and she looks after him, but he's flopped once or twice.
He looks tricky on the track, like, doesn't he?
That was a bit. Yeah, he did get a bit steppy over hurdles, and then they tried more fences. But I do agree with Don. I don't think Townend thought that was going to happen, and I think it was his day, Leopardstown. But yeah, I just don't know if would he be as tough as Flooring Porter, and Flooring Porter already won around there. So that would be my reason for it.
Brilliant. So 2 votes now for Flooring Porter. David, you get the casting vote.
Yeah, Flooring Porter again.
Just wins, is he?
I think the start wasn't great the last day in Leopardstown. It's a fresher horse, and also in Cheltenham, Paul Townend always drops in on the Thursday and the Friday in these hurdle races, and he goes wide. If you could see up the straight the last day in Leopardstown, Flooring Porter was hanging left and could never get outside Classical Dream to come around him. He was always looking in behind him. The next day, the inside will be a free runway for Danny.
That's interesting you say that, because that was the first thing Gavin said. Do you remember there was Stuart's inquiry over the start? And I think he just accepted, but he said the one thing that really kind of bugged him was that Classical Dream at the inside, and it just didn't suit Flooring Porter.
It wasn't the distance he lost at the start for me, it was the fact, it was the position that he should have been in.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so there you go. We have 3 votes this side for Time Hill, and you can make it 4 if you include me, and 3 votes the far side. So we've a split camp at the top table. That is your stairs hurdle. Now it is exactly 10 to 10, so we're going well. You have 10 minutes, or possibly 9, because it's 9:51 now, to get a pint if you want to get a bag of crisps or something. And we will reconvene with day 4 and handicaps and mayor's races when you come back. A round of applause for our panel, please. So welcome back to the Race Hour Cheltenham Preview 2022. And have you been enjoying the first 3 days? Yay! That's the biggest cheer we've ever got. People are deprived. They haven't been out in years. David Mullins started a wholesale gamble on a horse in the Cheltenham bumper. What's his name again, David? Viva
DeVito.
Like the Coldplay song.
Was 250 to 1, then 100 to 1, then 80 to 1, then 66 to 1, and I think he's only 40 to 1 now. 25 now. So Chris Jones, who's in the audience, is winning the Grand Annual, potentially the Ultima, maybe. No, the Grand Annual.
No.
Curse Sublime.
No.
No, I'll go for Grand Annual. The son will get his way. He's having a treble. He's having a treble. He's winning the bumper now as well, and Ben Dundee is winning the Ultimate. So there you go. Moving on to day 4, and we'll kick off with the Triumph Hurdle. And currently with FansBet, Vauban is your 7-4 favourite. Pied Piper is 2-1. The two of those obviously clashed on New Year's Eve at Punchestown. 5-1 Fildor, 10-1 Porticello, and Night Salute, 12-1 at Car Allen. Dr. Parnassus is 12-1. Elete Tom is 12-1, and it's 16-1 Bar. Right, Dan, Vauban is currently your 7-4 favourite. It looks like an Irish benefit, so I know FansBet has an Irish benefit offer.
Yeah, indeed. Well, a lot fancy the Irish to be the best and far superior to the British, and I probably think that is correct. So if you fancy the Irish to finish 1, 2, and 3, it's going to be 3-1, which I think, looking at the market now, is very, very fair.
Right, give us your 1, 2, 3 then.
I'd say Vauban wins. I think unless this turns into a real slog, I think he's just got too many gears. I think the vibes are very, very strong about him. Spring Juvenile form is very, very strong. I'd have Ilete Tom, I think, comes second here. I thought that was the best debut by Juvenile all season. He was very novice early on in that Spring Juvenile, wasn't fancied, jumped big, jumped slow at the first few, then powered home. The only thing to come from off the pace at all, couldn't even be pulled up, it seemed. He was going forever after the line. I think he'll come second, and I think Fildor is probably still like the benchmark you can set your watch by. I think he will come third.
Okay, interesting. This Elete Tom, boys, Gary O'Brien and Ruby Walsh at the preview night in Barberstown Castle last Friday night both put this horse up as their charity bet in the Triumph Hurdle. Elete Tom. David, do you know much about him?
No.
Do you know much about the favourite Vauban?
Yeah.
And would you like to tell us?
Townend loves him anyway, and hasn't shut up talking about him since about September or October. So
Lovely.
yeah.
That's all we need to know, David. That is all we need to know. Vauban wins the Triumph Hurdle. Mikey?
Yeah, much like David, Paul rides him out a bit at home himself, so that's usually a good sign. And look at he's obviously very good, but so is Pied Piper. So I might just give Pied Piper the nod because maybe I just think Gordon has a better record with juveniles than Willie. So on that grounds and course form, I'll give him. I was in Newmarket today; he was sold as well, and just purely for
Sentimental reasons.
Sentimental reasons, yeah.
Willie Mullins is 2 from 56 with his juveniles at the Cheltenham Festival, right? So Burning Victory is obviously he should only get half a point for Burning Victory. Can you name me the other one that he won the Triumph Hurdle with?
Scolarity.
Very good, Mikey. I wasn't expecting you to get that.
It's on the plaque and on the barons.
Oh,
so it's not from knowledge.
Scolarity is right. David Casey wrote it, I think, did he?
Charlie Swan.
Oh, it was Charlie Swan, yeah. Was that on the plaque as well?
No. No,
so you think you're just about siding with Pied Piper?
Yeah. I just think Davy Russell's going to get Friday going there.
Get Friday going with Pied Piper. Don, on the market here, 7-4 Vauban, 2-1 Pied Piper. Then there's a bit of a stretch out to Fildor 5-1. Do you think it's a 2-horse race?
No, I don't, David. I think it's a hell of a Triumph Hurdle, really. There's so many different lines of form, like Pied Piper beat Vauban by a half a length when Vauban missed the last, and then Pied Piper went and won the Finesse Hurdle by 9 lengths or something doing handsprings. And you kind of thought Vauban was short then for the Spring Hurdle on the back of Pied Piper's run at Cheltenham, but then he was weak in the market just beforehand, and he did well to win because he was very keen and free through the early stages of the race, but he quickened up, and you know that side camera at Leopardstown when they come around the home turn, he really, it just showed how much he was quickening. So it was a really impressive performance, so you can see why he's short. But yeah, Ilete Tom, I thought that was a hell of a run by him in that race. As Dan was saying there, he was like it was his first run for Willie Mullins, his first run in Ireland, his first run over 2 miles. His 2 bumpers in France were over 1.5 miles, and he hadn't run since May. So you can understand that he would have been fresh and keen. He made a mess of the first flight, and was big at the second. He did warrant to his task, but the way that he finished off his race to take third. Now he was beaten 6 lengths by Vauban and 3 lengths by Fildor, but it was still a hell of a run for a debutant. And
can he turn around that form?
I think there's every chance he can.
Really?
6 lengths for a debutant running over 2 miles on his first run since May, when Vauban and Pied Piper and Fildor all had runs. Yeah, I think there's every chance he shouldn't be a 14-1 shot against him, I think, given that Vauban is what's he, 2-1, 7-4.
7-4, yeah.
I don't think he should be 14-1. And Cara Allen, I thought another winning goal at Juvenile. I thought he was out of the Triumph Hurdle picture after that Spring Hurdle, but his run the last day was good in the Winning Fair Hurdle in the Grade 3 race. He's back in the picture now, I think. But it's a hell of a race, and that Spring Juvenile Hurdle it's a very good pointer to the triumph, and it's not just the winners who go on and win it, like the beaten horses as well. They can come forward in reverse places.
Yeah, Farclay, I think, was beaten.
Farclay
did it.
Mr. Adjudicator, and they were 1 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a big Elete Tom fan as well.
Well, I think he's overpriced. Yeah.
So Ruby Walsh, Gary O'Brien, and Donn McClean.
Don't put me in that category now.
3, Don, you're
Not
up
good.
there. You're up there, Don. 3 serious judges fancy Elete Tom. Are you going to make it 4, Diarmuid?
No. I've been on Pied Piper for quite a while. Put it on the podcast a few weeks ago. And I just thought that first run was obviously Davy Russell cut the nose off Paul Town on that day. I still think just the way Gordon Elliott spoke afterwards, that Gordon Elliott was shocked that the horse had won. You know, he said the horse hadn't been away. He said the horse hadn't done as much work as he would have liked, and the two of them stepped massively forward from that run. I think recency bias has us. Obviously, Vauban was excellent, but I just thought Pied Piper really put it all together at Cheltenham. I get the angle that Vauban can improve again, and the way Willie Mullins spoke the last day, that it wasn't just a Triumph Hurdle that's on his mind with this horse. It's
Yeah, that was interesting.
yeah, that was the line that caught me. The way he said that, you know, there's a lot more than Triumph Hurdles on his mind with this horse.
He didn't want to go for the Triumph, really. Like.
Yeah, so that kind of just made me think that, God, yeah, so this horse could be a champion hurdle horse or something like that in the future. So
I think he thought that he was a supreme horse for next year, and he was going to mind him until next year maybe. But it's interesting that he is going to show up in the Triumph.
yeah,
obviously.
so like, you know, that is huge. But I just think Pied Piper has done this over the course and distance. He's a real class act. That performance to do that off the back of not having as much work done as Gordon Elliott would have liked. I am biased because I am on him at bigger prices, but at 2
How big?
It was 14s, wasn't it? The podcast?
Whoa.
Yeah, so it was that. It was after that debut. But he's yeah, I think he's gonna be hard to stop.
Lovely stuff. Very best of luck with your 14-1. Dean, are you a Pied Piper man or a Vauban man?
I think Vauban's pretty solid. I was very impressed at Dublin Racing Festival, and I wasn't that actually keen on him for that race. I think you remember we did the DRF preview, obviously, for the race hour on FansBet, and
We did. It was very good, wasn't it?
you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it,
very
yeah.
good, yeah.
And I think I came up with an absolutely terrible line about Paul Townend with more switches than a fuse box
Yeah.
on Vauban behind Pied Piper.
Very impressive.
Yeah, but you know, Vauban went and proved actually that, you know, he stepped forward a lot. Pied Piper, there's a touch of the Arconnas about Pied Piper and what he did at Cheltenham. You know, it's got to light up your eyes. But Vauban missed a few flights at DRF, I thought, and could definitely jump better than that. I think he'll improve. I think he's the one to beat in a very good race. There's every chance that Dr. Parnassus is good, Elete Tomp is good, Night Salute obviously is good, Porticello can step forward. This is a hot race. I don't think any price around 7 to 4 Vauban's going to really entice me in, but I think he's the most solid one. I'd have him over Pied Piper, but it's a marginal call, and this is a very hot race.
Because you know the way Patrick always says, you know, I'll go for a cup of tea during the Triumph Hurdle, you know, but this year it's a proper race. Like
It is.
You could see some of these running the Champion Hurdle next year.
Yeah.
That is your Triumph Hurdle. It's going to be a corker. It's the first race on day 4 of the Cheltenham Festival on Friday. Moving on to the next Grade 1 on the card, and it is the Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle. And Dan, we'll start with you. Currently Manila Crooner, your 7 to 2 favourite, 4 to 1 Hillcrest, 5 to 1 Ginto, 13 to 2 Manila Cocooner, 6 to 1 Journey With Me, who we think is going for the Ballymore Chantereuse, 17 to 2, 9 to 1 Hollow Games, and 10 to 1 Bar. Worst loser and your fancy, please.
Hillcrest, Manila Crooner, either to win, was 6 to 4, now 9 to 4. Hillcrest has been very solid. I think he's just a very likeable horse, getting popularity. The one for me, though, I think Ballygriffin Cottage is overpriced at 18 to 1. I think we've only seen one exceptional staying novice hurdler this season, that's Blazing Cow. Who obviously he's going to miss the race. Irish Handicapper gave him a mark of 147, compared to Miller Crooner 139. I think he's the standard setter. Ballygriffin Cottage finished 6 lengths behind him on his rules and hurdling debut at Cheltenham. Conceded experience, conceded fitness, jumped the last upside, just tired on the run-in. Gilliano Bello back in second, a solid 138 horse, ran very well in the Lanzarote. I think that form is very rock solid. Fourth has boosted it again since. One at Lingfield, Cosley next time out. I think you watch that race, watch the final furlong. He just pulled clear almost quite effortlessly. Looked like he was going to make hard work of it, and then just found something a bit extra. I think that was a very likeable performance. Only had 2 starts over hurdles, but this is a horse that won 3 points in 3 weeks. He's a 7-year-old, thorough stayer, proven on varying ground conditions, form with one of the best, or I think the best, staying novice hurdler. I think he's a great each-way bet.
And a case very well made. 18 to 1 Ballygriffin Cottage. Excellent stuff. He's 18 to 1 at the moment, yeah?
Yep.
18 to 1. There you go. Dean, follow that.
Yeah, look, he's on my list as those types that you look for when you want to step away from the top end of the market, right? Ballygriffin Cottage is definitely in there. Bardenstown Lad in there.
I'd even throw Eric Bloodaxe into the mix if he runs it. He completely flopped at Dublin Racing Festival, so that's a big comeback mission. But Hillcrest is the horse that's going to come forward from this and be a superstar, I think. There's some nice horses in here, but Hillcrest looks like this kind of Gold Cup horse. There's still a bit of a shell. What he did the last day, just thought it made him look like a beast. I just wonder whether they might be right to maybe sidestep and not go down the road of running a potato race and putting the horse on the gun to his head. You know, they maybe don't need to do that. There's a big, big future there. If they do decide to run, if Henry Daly decides that's where they're going to go, I think he's the most likely winner. If you're looking for one of those horses that wins this race, the one Dan made a case for there is definitely in the list. I wouldn't put anyone off. But Hillcrest, I think, is the one to take forward. If he runs, I'll be with him.
That's Hillcrest currently 4-1 with FansBet. Diarmuid, Albert Bartlett, have you got a strong fancy?
Yeah, I really like Chartreuse. Again, he was one I mentioned a few weeks ago on the podcast, but he's, again, that probably biases. You know, when you probably biases my look at the race. But I really liked what he did last time. I thought he still looked like a kind of a bit of a big Egypt. He didn't really know what he was doing. He tried to jump the kind of crossing when he was coming up to the last. The horse in second, Ivan, obviously isn't top class, but still was involved in those races. I think had the race been any way further, he would have just kept going on and on and on. Him and Brahma has used that race, obviously, with, you know, Indo was second in it, Monley had won it. I just loved what he did that day. And before that, again, he was one of the few horses that won while Henry Brahma horses weren't winning. I just think that there's an awful lot of improvement in him. I really like the new course for him as well, turning in. I just think that his jumping is fantastic. That jump at the last day was just superb, as it was the time before. If he produces a big jump like that, he can just get away from them. Manila Crooner, the favourite, I just think he's a terrible price at 7-2. I think he reminds me of Fakira from last year, that we're kind of basing everything now on how well he stayed on at the end, but Fakira was even too slow for that last year. Just makes mistakes at critical times. I know there's only 2 furlongs in that, or there's only 2 fences or hurdles, in the last 7 furlongs, but I'm not mad about his jumping at all. You can find yourself behind, even on that course, you can find yourself behind with a bridge too far to cap. Chartreuse does jump brilliantly. And I just think the way Henry Brahma's horse are coming back, he's only going to be improving. And I really like him for this.
Right. You're entitled to your opinion, even if it is wrong. Don, what do you like in the Albert Bartlett?
Yeah, I think Manila Crooner is the right favourite.
Thanks the Lord. Yeah. A bit of sense. That's why you're here, Don.
Who
you bring sense to the party.
Look, I do like Chartreuse. He's going to have to improve again. Like Manila Crooner won over 3 miles on his penultimate run, beating Ivan, who ran closer to Chartreuse the last day. And just the more that race went on, the stronger Manila Crooner got. Then the last day in the Nathaniel Lacey race at Leopardstown, it just was, Danny Mullins rode another picture-perfect race from the front on Manila Crooner, just stacked them up and kicked. And just as the pace was increasing, Manila Crooner made a bad mistake at the second last flight. He did really well to stay on as well as he did. It was a race in which it was very difficult to come from behind, and he was in behind, especially after that mistake, which accentuated the task that he was faced with, and he just stayed on really well to finish second. He should come on from that. Take Diarmuid's point on his jumping, but I think in the Albert Bartlett it's more about, you know, it can be a funny race and it can throw up strange results, but it's about toughness and stamina and gritty, and I think Manila Crooner has all of that.
That's why Racing TV pay you the big bucks, Don.
The big bucks. Yeah.
Mikey, are you a Manila Crooner fan like myself and Don?
I was, coming into it,
That's past tense there.
No, I still am. I love his maiden hurdle run. He could have even won that day. And Hillcrest is smasher. You're just worried about the English farm. Chartreuse, like, that's a nice race. That Clonmel race always leads to a winner or two in Cheltenham. But Mr. Fred Rogers was still going with him when he sort of slipped up. And I'm not going to jump ship now. I like what I saw in Leopardstown and Manila Crooner, and I'm going to stick with him.
So did I, Mikey. So did I. David Mullins, what do you like here?
Hollow Games and Chartreuse. Hollow Games reminds me a lot of Manila Indo, by the same sire, and I just think he's going to be a great ride in it. He jumps well.
Wouldn't be surprised if he switched to Martin Pipe. Just wouldn't be.
Yeah, the mark 143, wasn't it?
Yeah, wouldn't be hugely surprised if Hollow Games switched to Martin Pipe, but who knows?
But I think Hollow Games And Chartreuse, obviously the race in Clonmel, I think it's a great race for this.
Yeah.
And I think you have to have gone 3 mile on heavy ground and come through. You have to go through the pain barrier to be able to win this sort of race. And I think they've been both very busy, and there's 2 of them right profile for me.
His jump at the last as well looked like a horse that was loving the test.
Further he went, the better he looked.
Yeah. That jump at the last wasn't a tired horse, like really wasn't. Yeah.
He's a thorough stayer, Chartreuse. For what it's worth, Manila Crooner is my strongest fancy of the entire week. I just love him. I don't think he's going to end up being the best of these. I could see a lot of these going on to run in Gold Cups in years to come. He won't, but this is the right race for him now. I think he's going to love the Albert Bartlett. And that run, if you just go back and watch it against Journey With Me and Kilcrut, he split them, even though that was 2.5 miles on the inside track, basically, as inside as you could go at Leopardstown on the last day. I thought that was a hell of a run. And to me, he is the banker of the Cheltenham Festival. That's Manila Crooner in the Albert Bartlett. Moving on to the big one. It is the blue ribbon. It is the Boodles Cheltenham Gold Cup. And at the moment with FansBet, A Plutar is your 3-1 favourite, but he's going to be enhanced. And we're going to come to Dan in a second to find out just how much he's going to be enhanced by. 4-1 Galvin, 5-1 Manila Indo, last year's winner. Protector at 8-1. Album Photo 17-2. Alaho, who Dean really wants to run this race, but he's running the Ryanair's 10-1. Conflated 11-1. And it is 12-1 Bar. What price are FansBet going A Plutar, Dan?
4-1, A Plutard. Currently the worst result in the book as well. I think he's been quite well backed throughout the campaign. Really, this defeat last time didn't seem to put too many people off. Galvin, for me personally, I think he's the most solid horse in this race. I think he's defied every expectation that's ever been of him. Form at Cheltenham is absolutely rock solid. All come on an old course, but he'd probably say, looking at him, he'd probably prefer the new course based on his run style. That National Hunt Chase looks fantastic form now. I think he's just that progressive type, hasn't had a go at this yet. Obviously beating horses in Gold Cups don't have great records, which would be a bit of a caveat with A Plutard. So Galvin for me.
Galvin for Dan. David Mullins, like you've ridden like proper Gold Cup contenders and you know what it takes to win a Gold Cup. Galvin just strikes me as the type that he's almost guaranteed to finish in the first 3, but I think he's almost guaranteed to find 1 too good, is he?
Yeah, it's looking like that. Does anyone know if Mount Ida runs or not?
I think it's looking
Going
likely.
to Mare's Chase.
She's going to the Mare's Chase. It's not definite yet, but it's looking likely. Would you like her
Fancy-
for this?
I fancy her non-running, no bet, yeah, big time.
In the Gold Cup.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the race we're on.
No.
For those of you that couldn't see that face,
Not a chance.
Mikey.
No.
You're disrespecting your late granddad now. Donn Run is the last mare to win it. You know, I'd be shocked now.
She wouldn't win a champion hurdle now.
Sorry, go on
it's a
and
good
elaborate
call.
anyway,
It's a good
Dave.
call. It's a good call.
We will come to the Mayor's race in a second and she'll come up again, probably Mount Ida. But you're a big fan of Mount Ida?
Yeah, Plutard then otherwise. Galvin will run well. Manila Indo. You'd love to say that he's going to come back around Cheltenham again. I can't say it. Album Photo. Haven't seen enough of him to go back on him again after Willie saying he's going to change things around. Hasn't done one thing different.
Willie was he was very, very lukewarm last week on him in particular. He said he's not where he wants him to be, not working well, brought him away to work and he's not happy. Is he?
There's no other trainer in the history that would publicly say like the amount of wrong things he's done.
Yeah.
You know, he's amazing.
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't hear an English trainer or
No.
an Irish trainer saying it.
Yeah. No, I thought it was interesting. All right. Do you think he could do it, Mikey? Album Photo.
No, I don't. I don't think I don't think he's good enough, and it's just very hard. He's getting on a bit, and I didn't think he was as impressive in Tremor either.
Who is good enough then? What wins it?
A plus hard.
You're good in French in school, were you?
I'm
I'm not sure. I don't think they pronounce the last letter. I'm not sure.
TD and S doesn't
A
work.
Plutard.
When I went to school, I had to pronounce the D's, so that's why. But
So
yeah.
A plus Tard, go on.
Yeah, no, he was awesome in Haydock, and he was 7-year-old last year. He's a year older this year. Henry's horses are coming back into a bit of farm, and he was unlucky in Leopardstown, and he's solid. Like a 4-1, you can't go wrong there. Like,
Yeah,
He
is he one of these, Mikey, that if they're all the same price, he'd be the one you'd be backing every day of the week?
oh, for sure, yeah, yeah, absolutely. He's the best profile going into this. Obviously, Galvin is solid. You're spot on. You'd be just worried. Is he just a little, just not Gold Cup winning material?
Would you worry about the record of horses who've ran the race before coming back and trying to win it? Cottle started it, but they do have a poor record in it, beating horses.
Well,
coming
so do
back.
horses that win it have a poor record and going
Yeah.
back the following year.
Yeah, very bad.
No, I wouldn't worry about that at all.
Okay.
Not one
Fair
bit.
enough. You've eased my worries. That's all right. Yeah. So it's a plus
He'd
tard,
be
yeah.
like if you had to pick a horse to ride in it, like he'd definitely be the one. He looks cool.
Which one?
A plus tag.
Don?
Wouldn't you ride no day then?
I look. It's a hell of a it's a hell of a race. It's the Gold Cup. Yeah. I like Manila Indo. I know he won it last year, and it's hard to come back and win it again. But Albin Photo did it, and Manila Indo. Like just his King George run obviously was all wrong. It was the wrong track, cheek pieces, ridden forward, up with a fast pace, and he was beaten with the circuit to run. Like it just wasn't his running. But I thought he had to be a lot better at Leopardstown the last day, but he was. Like he stayed on well, and then he got a bit tired, and Jenna Dill nearly caught him for second, but they didn't go a great pace in that either. And he's just a real stamina, staying, gritty horse. His Cheltenham record is phenomenal. He's going to be a different horse at Cheltenham. We know that. He's a better horse in the spring. His record in March, April and May is head and shoulders above anything that he achieves from October to February. He's won an Albert Bartlett hurdle when he was running he ran with the choke out for most of the race. He was beaten in the RSA chase when himself and Allaho got at each other from a long way out, and Champ came and mugged the pair of them. And then he won the Gold Cup last year. Like he's just and he actually won the Gold Cup last year with a wee bit more in hand than the winning margin. He just seemed to beat Absolute Hard by a wee bit more than the whatever was a length and a bit. And
Kennedy could ride him too, couldn't he? You think now?
yeah, don't know. I think didn't Henry say Robbie Parr's going to ride?
He said he was in.
Probably will keep the ride.
He actually specifically said if Jack Kennedy is available, that could change things.
Yeah, I did the story.
And if Conflated goes to the Ryanair, then
Yeah, I think Conflate will go Gold Cup. I think Gordon.
you
will
think
get
he'll
his-
go Gold Cup?
I think Gordon will get his way. Yeah.
That's another argument they have to have, because I think Jigglestown want him to go for the Ryanair, and Gordon wants to go for the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Albin Photo, I just think it's hard. Like he's got 5 lengths to final in Ella from last year. He's a 10-year-old now. How's he going to reverse play since the last 10-year-old was cooled on in '98, I think? So I can't see it. Can see Protectorat. He's the kind of, I think he's best of the British. Well, the market says he is, but he's a 7-year-old progressive horse. He stayed in the Many Clouds chase at Aintree. Again, when he was free early on soft ground, I thought he did well to win as well as he did that day, and he's got Cheltenham form as well. So he's interesting, and Dan Skelton's keeping him fresh for this. So I think he's the best of the British. But yeah, I think Manila Indo. Yeah, I can see him winning it again.
You said this to me even a while ago. Even after you kept the fate after the King George, didn't you?
Well, yeah, like I was kind of thinking that if he got beaten in the King George, they'd push him out to a big price, which they did. And you can just put it, like he's just a different horse at Cheltenham. And I think we can assume as well that he's a different horse in the spring than he is in the winter. And he always takes a stuffy horse who takes a run or two, so you wouldn't mind his Dan Royal run. So yeah, I think he'll win it again.
He's like Mikey at preview nights. Mikey was, needed the run last night, and tonight they are flying
I
tonight,
tell
Mikey.
you, I'm after blowing up there now. I'm looking for the line now.
Flat track.
I'll do my best, Mikey, to get you home. Diarmuid, the Gold Cup. What do you like?
Yeah, same as Don. Absolutely love Manila Indo. For it, I just think the crabbing of his form going in. I don't have much to add more than Don, obviously, but the crabbing of his form going into Cheltenham is something I find really strange, because he won the Albert Bartlett as a maiden. He won the RSA where he had 2 prep runs, beaten by Lorena, and he finished second to.
Yeah, but hold on a second.
He beat Captain CJ, wasn't it?
He had never in his career ran as bad as he did in the King George.
He did, but Henry de Bromhead said himself he was trying to fit a square into a round hole. Like it just didn't.
Yeah, but he was beaten after a furlong.
Yeah, but they put cheek pieces on him and tried to ride him forward.
Yeah.
in the
Oh, I
race on
see
front
all
page.
that. Yeah.
Nothing else came. Nothing else from those front few came home. Like nothing.
I think the fact that he was beaten so far out is an argument for the fact that it just wasn't his run.
Absolutely,
at all,
yeah.
And then the last day, like again, that was a huge run of the Irish Gold Cup because he was 4th last year in that, and he was kicked out of the way in that. He's just a horse that is steadily coming through. Henry de Bromhead seems to have that glint in his eye again when he talks about him, that this horse is coming back. Last year, I was all over for the podcast, and then I deserted him after Christmas, and the Irish Gold Cup. I was heartbroken when he won, and Henry was speaking about him in a similar vein coming up to Cheltenham. He was shocked, wasn't he, that Rachel had picked David? You know, he was just kind of thing. So Robbie Power, Jack Kennedy, whoever, they're both proven on him. He's very close to my biggest bet of the week, my best bet of the week. Very close. I just think that you have a horse here who is coming back to form at the right time, a stable that's coming back to the right form, and yeah. I think Melendo takes.
And you're good. Your record on this night is almost like Shishkin. Your charity bet has been fantastic over the years. So that's interesting. Manila Indo for Diarmuid Nolan, 5-1. Dean, where do you stand on the Gold Cup?
I really like Protectorate for this. I really do.
Do you?
Yeah, I really do.
I don't get Protectorate.
Yeah,
Try and sell Protectorate to me there.
I think because maybe he started off in the Paddy Power and didn't win it. People would just be like, well.
No, long run was beaten in the Paddy Power in the Gold Cup.
And actually he had no right to get as close as he did to winning that race. There was a Horlicks of a mistake in the contest. I don't think he got the trip that he wanted. He was obviously going off what was he, off 154, something like that. I thought it was a massive run. And immediately then I was like, well, he's on the radar. Then when he went under bridge at Aintree, he put in a performance that was, it's Native River in behind. I appreciate where Native River is at this stage of his life. But it was a massive performance. And he comes in now fitting the kind of trends of what a Gold Cup winner looks like these days, right? He's on exactly the mark you'd expect this up-and-coming horse to be. I think it's between him and A Plus Tard. I think Galvin would be like a synchronized style winner, one that we'd easily forget in terms of what context of the race. Solid horse. I hope he runs well. I've always liked him, but I just think he's just slightly below the top bar. Manila Indo, I mean, there is positives in that run at the Dublin Race Festival, but he still got beat by Conflated and pretty comfortably. He didn't step back to being Manila Indo. He's got to come forward again. He could well do it at Cheltenham. I'm not interested at 5-1. Album Photo is too old. Allaho should go here and it won't. The rest can't win. So it's A Plus Tard against Protectorate for me. And at the prices, you got to be with Protectorate. He is the up-and-coming force. Dan Skelton, I think, is about to hit the big time with this horse, and I hope that happens.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to give a shout out to Royal Pagaille, who I think is far too big of a price.
It's got a rain.
It has got a rain, but
He's got 20 lengths and A Plus Tard as well, doesn't he, to make up?
yeah,
It's just got a rain. If it rains, you're in.
I know. It's three. Like the last 8 Newbury was 2 mile 7 on quickish ground. It's 3 mile 2 and a bit in the Gold Cup. I'm not saying he'll win it, but he's 25-1, and I think he's a good horse, Royal Pagaille, in the Gold Cup. So I actually forgot what the lads said. Mikey, what's your tip here? You're on to me. You're on to me.
I agreed with Donn a little bit as well now, and you about Manila Indo a bit as well.
Mikey was just after blowing up, and then he flicked to the last page and he said, what fucking left, he says. And then he's seen a picture of himself and he's after getting a breather in. And you get,
there he is.
There he is. Another hour out.
Jeez, Mikey, you have lovely teeth. Lovely straight white teeth.
He worked hard on them.
So there you go. That is the 2022 Boodles Cheltenham Gold Cup. A wide variety of opinions there, but I think probably A Plus Tard is the most likely winner for me, and Royal Pagaille maybe at 25-1. We're going to have a quick scan through the Mayor's races, lads. So Mayor's Hurdle, Mayor's Novice Hurdle, and Mayor's Chase. So just to put you in the picture, boys, you've got Mayor's Novice Hurdle. Allegory Devassi was out this morning. Brandy Love is favourite. Mayor's Hurdle, Tell Me Something Girl is favourite. And Mayor's Chase, it's Concertista, Ellie May, that kind of thing. David, fancy anything in those three?
Stormy Ireland, the Jetway Mare, what's she called?
Brandy
Love.
And Mount Ida, whichever Gold Cup are there.
Brilliant. There's David Mullins, 3 fancies in the Mayor's races. Mikey?
Strong fancy on Dino Blue. They Tell Me Something Girl, I've no real opinion on that race. I just factual on Lash. I don't like Stormy Island, I don't like Concertista, and strong fancy on Mount Ida.
Mount Ida as well. Okay.
Yeah, she's winner.
And just, you mentioned Dino Blue there, is there something you've seen from her that you like?
Love it, love Clonmel, love Heavy Ground. The way Mark Walsh rode her that day, that was, the higher powers come in and said
They knew.
He don't do that.
Yeah.
No, I love that. You're hitting the line in Clonmel on heavy ground and going there to the back of the second last in the bridle. Good horses only do that around there, I think.
That's Dino Blue, trained by Willie Mullins, owned by J. McManus, probably ridden by Mark Walsh in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. Don, the 3 Mayor's races, what do you like?
Fully with Mikey and Dino Blue. Like that performance at Clonmel she was really strong in the market against 2 stable companions, and just
It's
the way
great to
she
see,
did it.
isn't it?
Oh,
when
yeah.
a lad knows what they have. Like, and
Mikey, you're back on the bridle.
I just
Seen a picture of himself.
I got a kick out of that though. Yeah, I did.
No, and her jumping was
Yeah,
superb
brilliant.
that day, really good. And she's a half sister to Blue Sari as well. He's got Cheltenham form, and yeah, I think.
So
she's
Mayor's
gonna have
Novice Hurdle, Dino Blue, Mayor's Hurdle and Mayor's Chase.
Burning Victory, and Mount Ida.
Brilliant. So 3 votes for Mount Ida. Diarmuid?
Dinah Blue, completely agree with the lads. Absolutely love that performance. I think she should be very hard to stop. The race where they have to give weight away in this race is ridiculous. I just think it needs to be sorted out that a horse that wins a race before and shouldn't have to give weight away. But anyway, that's a separate
They've
matter.
done it in the past though.
They have, but still, it just shouldn't be the case. It's a graded race at Cheltenham. It just shouldn't happen. But she wins that. Tell Me Something, the girl is very close to being my nap of the week. I'm still torn between her or Endo. I thought that run of
You
Christmas.
haven't decided yet.
Used to decide in a few minutes. Like.
I still, yeah. that run of Christmas was huge. She was giving weight away. She came out by far the best horse at the weights. I've an issue with Stormy Ireland, just simply that, Bruno Pastorm, I think, was giving her plenty at Cheltenham when he came down. And, Bruno Pastorm's been beaten since by Botax has. I just think Tell Me Something Girl has been trained with this exact race in mind all season. Henry de Brahman has said from the very start of the season he's working back from Cheltenham.
Yeah, unbelievable. I did a stable tour back in October, November, and that was it. Like,
Yeah, he was working back from that point. She was brilliant last season in the Mayor's Novice, and I really like her. I absolutely love the horse. And then in the Mayor's Chase, just another comment from a trainer. Willie Mullins, after Ellie May won the last day, said that Ellie May, she was unlucky last year, but she doesn't have a horse like Inflated to beat this year. And I thought that
Colreevy.
sorry. I
Big
thought
bully,
that was a
wasn't it?
huge statement.
It's got bullied.
With Concertista there. So I just think Ellie May, she's been slowly coming back to the fore this season. So I think Ellie May will take a lot of stopping there.
Brilliant. Thank you, Diarmuid. Dan, 3 Mayor's races.
Agree on Tell Me Something Girl. She'll get a great pace to aim at with Heaven Help Her, Stormy Ida and Burning Victory all likely to go forward there. I think that will set up perfectly for her. Target all season. Agree on Ellie May as well. I don't think there's a calibre of mare against her this time. Going in the right way, I think she'll take a lot of beating. The Mayor's Novice, Grand G, I think is going under the radar. Probably not the flashiest type with the Mullins Brigade that will be in that race, but pays to be patiently ridden in that race. I think 6 of the 7 winners were given patient rides. Only Limini was prominent throughout.
Cooper didn't think he was beaten the last day, did he?
No, coming
Every
there.
lad says that when you fall. Though.
I don't think he would have been far away. I don't think he would have been 3 lengths behind Allegory de Vassy. He would have been like 9-4 favourite before all the injury stuff came out. So I think at an each way price, she'll come there late. I think she'll be in the shake-up.
Excellent. Dean, Mayor's races.
None of these races should be at Cheltenham, should they, Didier?
Jesus
Go on.
Christ.
Go on, Mr. Negativity.
You're just taking
No,
good
just
horses
tips.
out
Just
of the other
tips.
races.
Just tips, please.
All right, okay.
Oh, he's
But
right.
They shouldn't be there, should they?
Here we go.
We don't want
Can
to
of
die.
worms spewing
Eamon
everywhere.
O'Grady had a great article a couple of months ago too, was it?
With Richie Forrester, yeah, it was very good.
Oh, it was very good.
Yeah.
It gets the bigger trainers bigger, sort of these races, and you want to keep these big clashes and keep your sport like,
Yeah.
No,
We
you're
could
right.
have
You're
some
right.
very good mares
Yeah.
running against some other horses here and make really good races, and that's what Cheltenham should be about.
Yeah.
This dilution is nonsense. Anyway, I'll move on. Put the kettle on should run the Mayor's Chase. Not going to, I don't think. Sadly, I understand the kind of entitlement to go and try and retain a champion chase win, but absolutely no chance. In
I
that
think
race.
she'll run in the Mayor's Chase.
She should, and I think she'll win if she does. So hopefully they'll do that. I think she'd have a massive chance there. She'd outclass a good few of them. The Mayor's Hurdle, Stormy Island, I think still a bit underrated, really. You can go back to Willie's, only been beaten on the flat and behind Honeysuckle. Other than that, I think rock solid. I'd imagine she should be favourite. She's not, so I'd be all over that one. And I was going to back Ella Bell in the Mayor's Novices, but it's gone to Aintree, right? So you can get your money
Well, I'm
there.
going to spend the next fortnight trying to convince Dan Skelton to run here because
Do
there
that,
the
because-
Allegory de Vassy is out.
Yeah.
It's absolutely bonkers. If LA Bell third in the champion bumper behind Kilcrush and Sir Gerhard doesn't run here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
I'll do my best for you.
She'd have a massive chance, but you can get your money back at Aintree because I imagine she'll win there. And everybody, including a few of the people on the panel here, says Dino Blue wins, so maybe they know that too. So, Ella Bell, Dino Blue, and imagine Ella Bell's going to Aintree. So, Dino Blue, Dino Blue.
Fair enough. Ellie May, I think Ellie May will beat Mount Ida in the Mayor's Chase.
Fair
Going
enough.
back down the line this way for the handicaps, the Fox Hunters and the cross country. Anything you like in those, Dean?
The Fox Hunters pass, cross country pass. It'd be lovely to see Tiger. Tiger win, of course. In the old teamer, I thought Fleur looked absolutely perfect for it. Ran in the Martin Pipe last year.
under Joseph's tutelage, because they obviously moved the Gretches did the switch from Gordon. Thought got a shocker actually in the race, and it's unfortunate. It can happen in that race, so it's not really a blaming of the jockey, but I just think it could have been a lot closer. Of course, it was won by a very good horse. I think Flair's got a lovely mark for the Old Teamer. It's not normally a race the Irish do too well in, but I'd imagine that'll go very, very well.
The Old Teamer. Interesting.
Yeah, I call it the Old Teamer. Some people, what do you say it, Demo?
Ultima.
Yeah.
A normal person.
Yeah. Jeez, you wouldn't think the English compatriot on the panel would turn me over. Yeah, fair enough.
I'm a turncoat, mate.
Yeah, fair enough. Flair, the other one I thought if it got in, Jerry Colt Rock would go well. I'm not sure it will scrape into the race. I'd love Petit Tonnerre to run in the Boodles. Don't know if you saw that for John Joe and John Joe Jr. The Boodles, yeah.
Won American Raisin.
Yes.
Made a mistake at the last.
John Joe did everything right to hold it together and almost messed it up. Yeah, I'm not sure 138 is a gift, but I think he could be quite smart. I'd have that definitely on the list for that race. In the county hurdle, if Shall We Have One More gets into the race,
I tipped that the other day.
I wouldn't give up on it. Like, I know it got beat by Ascot Risk in the Dovecote, but I wouldn't be disappointed with that at all. This is going to be a frenetic pace, right? You always get that in the county, and I think Shall We Have One More will go well. I thought West Cork and the comments that Dan Skelton made about that horse for the county, and he's made it several times. You'd have to have that one on the list. I'd imagine State Man's going to come up across the board here somewhere along the lines, and I'd be interested to know what they think. I think Martin Pipe.
We'll be asking about Stateman in a minute, boys. So get your answers ready.
I think the Martin Pipe race is probably the one to go for there, and it would break Dan Skelton's heart, even though the handicapper has given Langadan a couple of pounds back for a spin round Taunton, which I thought was fair, to be honest. You're going to hear a lot of Irish people in the run-up to Cheltenham Crib about what happened there with Langadang. But don't complain if you're that upset about it. Just back the horse.
Yeah.
Simple.
Well, it's pot kettle black stuff, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Happens here as well.
Side of Burley, if you want to make a case for the opposite of that, has got a very nice mark again in the Potemps. So it swings both ways.
Absolutely. Are those your handicap fancies? Yeah.
They are.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dan. Anything in the handicaps, the cross country or the Fox Hunters?
Agree on Side of Burley. I looked at that race earlier today. I think he's absolutely rock solid. Rob James claiming 7 will have a massive chance. The two from a market perspective that are going to be very popular and talked about until the race, Gaelic Warrior. Do we need to say any more? He's French form. You can read it however you like. It's by all accounts, it's ridiculously well thrown in.
We'll be asking you about him as well, boys.
Yeah. The other one would be being State Man as well. All the money's coming from the Martin Pipe rather than the county, so keep an eye on him. My personal biggest fancy in the handicaps is Fantasticas in the Ultima. Progressive novice, Nigel Twiston-Davis, won on handicap chase on debut. Third in the Dipper, which I think was a very strong race this year. I've already gone about how I think Long Press is the best British novice. The Glancing Queen back in second. I think she would have a chance at the plate as well. That was over an inadequate trip for Fantasticas. One at Lingfield next time out, more comfortable the winning margin suggests. Races handily, you need that in an Ultima really. Jumps well, novice off 144. Nigel Twiston-Davis handicap chase around Cheltenham. Massive chance.
Brilliant. That's Fantasticas in the Ultima for Dan. Diarmuid, handicaps, Fox Hunters, cross country. I'm sure you got loads for us.
Yeah, I agree with Side of Burley under Rob James. I think that's an absolutely. Rob James is stealing £7. In the Grand Annual before midnight off 148 is very interesting. He was only 1 length behind Fun and Booth Savola last time. Sam Thomas had one hell of a season, and staying on that exact same mark is just extremely interesting. Before midnight gave that horse plenty of it, and Fernando Bulasiola has obviously gone on and franked that form since at a higher grade. There's one of the mad price for the Coral Cup I liked the way you're thinking. In 2020 he was he ran a good race in the Martin Pipe.
When did he come back on the scene?
He's been brutal over fences, like he's been really bad over fences, but back over hurdles again, he could run a big race. He was smashed that day, the Martin Pipe. He's only entered over hurdles at Cheltenham. And Gavin Cromwell he just has a very, very good record at Cheltenham. You know, he's 16 runners in the last 10 years, 3 winners and 4 places. That's an SP profit of 29 for a £1 stake. So if you just back Gavin Cromwell blind, you're kind of going right, but he just kind of interests me as being one, maybe dark. And then Frontal Assault in the Kim Weir is just, it's crazy, the confidence that seems to be coming out about him. I've missed the prices on him. I'm not going to pretend to have any sort of a decent price on him, but still.
£6 hike though.
Still, 145. Rob James will take 7 off that. I really wouldn't be kind of concerned about that. Just the kind of confidence there is huge. And then State Man, I actually like him for the county hurdle. William Mullins mentioned the county hurdle I read as well in the Racing Post. I think he's a pace horse, and the last 5 years, I got this from Josh Wright. The last 5 years, you know, William Mullins obviously has a record in that horses that have had less than 3 runs and that go up 1 furlong in trip from kind of last run and has had 0 handicap runs in their history. They're 4 winners from 18 runs, which is a profit of £58 for a £1 stake. So William Mullins horses, so they're novices obviously, less than 3 runs that season and go up 1 furlong in trip. Now I know that's a complicated old metric of looking at things, but this horse really does fit an awful lot of that. That performance last year was brilliant.
Sant Rot would have been one of them.
Yeah, smashed off the board at Christmas, and State Man for me looks extremely interesting off a mark of 141. There's a few more there, but he's the main one. Sorry, just one more. Fred Winter, Ben Seagal, if he runs. I know last time, I'm not sure if he burst last time, he did look like it. I hope he didn't. He's had a very similar prep to Jeff Kidder, and that first performance this season, he's got some very good horses in behind him that day, and he absolutely smashed them. He'll get in off a mark of 131. I just think he has an absolutely huge run in him, and he's a big price. I think he's 33 or 40 to 1. I think he could run an absolutely huge race for the exact same connections across the board that won this race last year.
Lovely stuff. That's Ben Siegel in the Boodles Juvenile Hurdle. Donn McClean, what do you like in these races?
Cross country Tiger Row. That was a good. Did you take that price you were talking about there? About
13 to 2.
Good man. Yeah, look, you'd love to see it. That'll be his last run, will it?
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, he bows out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah. Frontal Assault, not like 145. I think that's fine, and it's just if 146 he wouldn't have qualified for the Kim Muir, so 145 is perfect on the ceiling for the Kim Muir. He's a horse who he won over 3 miles over hurdles last season, the Grade 3 race. He's had 3 runs over fences this season, all over 2.5 miles. He hasn't won yet, but stepping up in trip to 3.25 miles for the Kim Muir, I think he's short enough now, but he's the most likely winner of the Kim Muir, you would have thought.
Winner's a winner, Don.
Just saying the confidence behind him, yeah, exactly. Sarah de Bailey and the Temps. I thought Fury Road would be interesting in the Ultima, but he got a mark of 160, which is £6 higher than his Irish mark. Debt Duty, by contrast, got 144, which is £1 lower than his Irish mark. So if they meet in Ireland, they meet on £7 different terms compared to how they meet in England, which is bananas. So I don't know if Fury Road's going to run, but if Paul Nicholls' horse runs in the Ultima, then Fury Road, if he runs, will have 11 stone 8, not top weight of 11 stone 12. And if that happens, then he might have a chance at a decent price in that.
Froden is that horse, is he?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thanks for that, Don. Mikey, what do you like in these?
Frontal Assault, I think he's a good thing. And
good things tonight, Mikey.
well,
Frontal
I know a jockey that rode him, and he said there's something running in the Kim Muir, and he could have his mouth open. So
Do you live with him? No.
no. I used to be. We were friends, but I don't live there anymore. So
Did you ride him the last day? No.
no, I'm not sure.
Go on.
Two Johnnies.
Yeah, he thinks he's one of them. Celeb der Alan. Johnny, my brother, is pals with Alan Stennett, and his horse been mapped out for this race. And
Brilliant at Warwick, wasn't
yeah, brilliant, and he's good French form. And look, that's the only.
he? He runs in the Festival Plate.
Yeah, festival play.
Good stuff. Celeste Allen. David, what do you like in the handicaps?
Adamantly chosen for the Martin Pike. Hope he goes there, I'm sure he will. I think he's 14 to 1 or something. Actually, not sure what price he is. He's 14 to 1 for the county. A horse called West Cork, a Dan Skelton's. He goes for the county.
County, yeah, won the Greatwood, yeah.
Yeah, and Brazil in the Boodles.
Brazil, Park Roach.
Yeah.
Does it go for it, yeah?
I'm fairly sure. Well, I'm presuming that's why he won the last day to get into it, isn't it?
Just
Won a bit too well.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put it
No,
like that,
no,
but he had to win
I
the
thought
last
they were lukewarm on whether they were going to go or not.
last
Yeah,
day
we had
to
to.
get into it.
He had to run now.
Dave's getting tired.
Just in a word, boys, at the end, will Bill Away win the Fox Hunters, Mikey? Yes or no?
God, no.
David Mullins?
I hope
he does for
Really,
Patrick. How could he not win it last year?
I know, yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Couple from me in the handicaps. Obviously, Gaelic Warriors 129. Like, we've no idea. He could win 20 lengths for all we know. But in any normal year, in any normal Boodles, I'd be very sweet in the tie turns. I think the tie turns is guaranteed to finish in the first 3, and I think he'll win if Gaelic Warrior isn't the 145 or 150 horse that he seems to be. If he gets into the Martin Pipe, I think the best handicapped horse in England is a horse called Might Eye, that's trained by Harry Fry. He's a mark of 135. He wasn't beaten that far by John Bond last time at Haydock, and he would have finished second only for he got kind of denied a clear run up the home straight after the last. He's 20-1 best price. He's off 135. I would have got him in for 4 the last 6 years. If he does sneak in, he's going to take a lot of beating in the Martin Pipe, I think. Although I'm kind of scared of the Willie factor in the Martin Pipe if adamantly chosen does go there. And just 2 other ones for me. In the Coral Cup, I like Capron for Philip Hobbs and JP McManus, who was 4th in the Great Wood. And it's a really good Great Wood this year, the 5th, 6th. I think the 5th, 6th and 7th have all won since. And in the Grand Annual, just a shout out for Time White, who I think is well handicapped, off 142 for Paul Nichols. And Harry Cobden. So we're going to come to your best now, Mikey. We're going to get you home. Just very quickly, any questions? Just 1 or 2 from the audience. What's the story with State Man, boys?
Very good horse, yeah. Won well in Limerick. Sure, wherever he goes, he's going to have a savage chance.
Wouldn't have him at all.
There you go.
Why don't you like him?
Actually, don't know the horse that well. I seen him last year, didn't like.
Just
At all. Yeah, that was my opinion of him last year. It might be a different horse this year, just not for me.
he's a big reputation, doesn't he?
Don't like them ones either.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, there you go. Yep.
5 o'clock is in the Martin Pipe. I haven't seen him in 2 years. Is he going or?
5 o'clock in the Martin Pipe.
I'm not sure whether he's going, but I think he's been there too long now. Maybe not for me.
Time is up, is it?
I wouldn't be telling you strong to back him now.
Fair enough. It's just a play on the name, but anyway. That's Dave. 5 o'clock.
No, it wouldn't be for me. No.
Wouldn't be for you. Okay. Any last questions? Yep.
Jungle Boogie.
Jungle Boogie.
Yeah,
He's entered nearly everything.
You dipped him on the broken, didn't you?
Go on.
No, no, he's a good horse, and I remember riding work with. Yeah, he's a good horse, but I don't know whether he's going.
It feels like you want to tell me more here.
Yeah.
No, but not about. I don't know whether he's running in Cheltenham really, but we knew he was a good horse before he ran in bumpers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, he's a very hard horse to keep sound, obviously, and I rode him in a bit of work one day, and I turned to Mikey and I said, "Geez, this is a fairy oak," and wasn't in the yard for the following week. So, yeah.
There you go. That's
broke him.
Jungle Boogie. So he's obviously a nice horse. So keep an eye wherever he shows up.
Yeah.
Hard to say anything about him when he's not sound.
Yeah. Perfect. Any final questions for the boys? Yeah. Yeah. There's a hand up there. Yep.
One up there on the side.
Yeah. Fire away.
Will St. Anne's win Wexford next year?
Will St. Anne's win Wexford next year, Mikey?
If the number 10 from last year goes into the full forward line, we will.
That is it.
Did you like that?
There we go. No more questions?
That was the best question.
Final one. Final one then, yeah. Yeah, one more. Go for it.
It's for Donn there. What's your best handicap bet of the week, Donn?
What's your best handicap bet of the week, Don?
Frontal Assault. He's no bad price now, but I think he's big chance in the Kim Muir.
Frontal Assault in the Kim Muir for Donn McClean. So there you go, boys. That was a quick Q&A from the crowd. So all that's left to do now before we get you boys home. I know you're up early. Are you riding out in the morning?
Yep.
What time are you inclined something for?
I'm not going there tomorrow because we're bringing away horses to home. So
Okay.
I usually would go up on a Thursday.
Are you in there in the morning, Dave?
He is, yeah.
I'm in Emmett's in the morning, yeah.
Okay, early start. Okay, so it's charity bet time. What have you got for us, Dan? How much?
100 quid.
100 quid
to
each?
person, yep.
Jeez, we better put a bit of effort in here.
Yeah.
So, right, we'll go down the line. We'll start off with David Mullins. Now, this is very, very, very important, okay? We need to make a few quid. Your charity bet, you have 100 quid. You have to pick a winner. We had 4 out of 6 here last year. Give us your winning charity bet, please.
€100 win Winter Fog in the Thames.
What?
Owned by Mr. Paul Byrne. Winter Fog in the Thames final.
We'll go 12 to 1 on that.
12 to 1 Winter Fog in the Thames final. 100 quid win for David Mullins. Mikey?
I'll go for a bit. What price is Frontal Assault?
I think he's 7 to 2, I'll check.
That's not good.
Hold on, we'll do better.
Oh, it's 4 to 1 here, so we'll go 5s.
Yeah, 5 to 1 in Frontal Assault.
Frontal Assault for Mikey Fogarty in the Kim Muir for Gordon Elliott and Rob James. Donn McClean.
Manella end up in the Gold Cup.
Don is going for the big one. It's Manilindo, the Gold Cup. He's 5-1 at the moment. Dan, what can you do for us?
I'll go 13-2.
Lovely. 13-2, Manilindo in the Gold Cup. Jeremy, now you've been thinking about this all night.
Yeah,
you were betwixt
Don
and
went to
between.
Manilindo, so I'll go for Tell Me Something.
Ah, okay.
Tell me something, girl, in the Mayor's Novices Hurdle.
We'll go 4-1.
4-1.
Yeah.
Hopefully a star is born there. Dan, for you?
I'll go. I'm really sweet on Fantastic Ass. I think he's got a cracking chance.
Are you giving yourself a charity bet, yeah?
Oh,
Go
absolutely.
for it. What price?
Yeah. Well, I've been under strict instruction. I can't go any bigger than 12s apparently. But I'm going to go 14s anyway.
So what's
I've been getting in trouble. Well, I won't be back next year. So.
What's a job? What do you need
Yeah,
wages for? It's grand. So there you go. Fantastic Ass and the ultimate 100 quid win at 14-1. Dean Ryan?
Yeah, look, I got to stick with the horse I went for last year. Didn't turn up. Time Hill win the Stayers, and you'll have to give me something a little bit better than one.
Time Hill in the Stayers Hurdle. Dan, what can you do for us?
It's 4s, so
5s.
11-2. 11-2. I heard. Yeah.
I'm not going to fight you on it.
11-2, 100 quid win
Wins.
at 11-2 on Time Hill.
Yeah.
And I will go for Manila Crooner in the Albert Bartlett. I think he's the bet of the week.
5s.
You're doing my job for me.
It's
Bingo.
5-1.
It's bingo time.
Yeah, we'll go 5s.
5-1 Manila Crooner. So
Rock 'em
those are your charity bets. Hopefully we'll do as well as we've done in the last couple of years. Fingers crossed. God, Aramax was good, wasn't he? Aramax was a long time ago,
that was a great
unfortunately. Listen, folks, thanks very much for joining us tonight, and everybody who's watching online and everything. I think you'll agree we had a great blend of enthusiasm, intelligence, humour, bit of crack, and that's what it's all about. And hopefully we've found you a few winners along the way. So my thanks to our panel: Dean Ryan, Dan Overall, Diarmuid Nolan, Donn McClean, Mikey Fogarty, and David Mullins. I've been David Jennings. Thanks for watching.